When my CEO wife went bankrupt, everyone expected me to take the cash and run. Sure, I'm handsome and obsessed with money, spending her wealth on endless fun, but I actually want to help her build her empire back up. Just a tiny fraction of her future wealth would secure my freedom. Getting financial freedom would be that easy, but who could have guessed her bankruptcy was all an act? When I transmigrated into this novel, it was already the grand finale. My stunning CEO wife was actually the villain defeated by the female lead. I still remember the final lines written about her. The book said Bai Ningbing's only remaining possession was the husband lying in her bedroom, along with his luxury watches and designer clothes. But she knew deep down that this man, who only ever ignored her unless he wanted cash, would soon walk out on her, taking all his expensive watches and clothes, leaving her utterly penniless. I rubbed my temples, thinking about my newly bankrupt wife, and let out a long sigh. Ever since we got married, she actually treated me quite well. Honestly, I would feel terrible abandoning her right when she hit rock bottom. At the very least, I should stick around until she gets back on her feet with a steady income or a new career. Once I sorted out my thoughts, I got up and started cleaning up this absolute mess of a house. It took me 3 long hours to pack everything into a corner of my room. The pile was massive. I counted over 100 luxury watches and more than 80 designer outfits. I desperately wish these clothes were watches instead, since watches are way easier to sell, are much easier to liquidate. When I finally woke up, it was already 2 in the afternoon. Feeling my stomach growling, I checked the wallet on the coffee table. I hadn't even stepped into the kitchen yet. We just moved in, and neither of us could cook a decent meal. The kitchen was bound to be empty, so I had to find food myself. Luckily, although this apartment was small, the neighborhood was great, with tons of restaurants downstairs. I strolled down, grabbed a simple bowl of noodles, and recalled the bare shelves I saw in the bathroom earlier. There were barely any toiletries, so I headed to the supermarket. I bought a big bag of essentials, including a set for her. I picked colors and styles based on her preferences from my memory. Once home, I resumed cleaning and gently pushed open her bedroom door. Aside from a crowded bookshelf and desk, the room only had a bed and a few absolute essentials. I sighed softly. It must be rough for a woman who grew up pampered like royalty to endure this kind of living condition. I looked around and got to work cleaning. Hours flew by. By the time the entire place was spotless, it was already 10 at night. After a relaxing shower, I laid out my late-night snack on the coffee table. Just as I opened the package and went for the first bite, the front door clicked open. I jerked my head up and locked eyes with a gaze as clear as autumn water. The woman at the door stared at me expressionlessly. As she looked away, her eyes swept across the room, and a flicker of genuine surprise crossed her face. Her eyes locked back onto me, and I took the opportunity to size her up. She was stunningly gorgeous, fully deserving of every beautiful word the author had showered on her. Feeling her intense gaze, I unconsciously gripped my chopsticks, unable to shake off a sudden wave of tension. After all, I was an imposter. Could a sharp woman like Bai Ningbing really fail to notice her husband's sudden change? Her eyes made me feel as if she could see right through my soul. "Did you hire a cleaning service? Do you still have enough money?" she asked. Her tone was calm but carried a sharp edge of scrutiny. I quickly shook my head. "No, I cleaned it myself." "You did?" "Yes, myself." Her face filled with disbelief, and she stared directly at me. We locked eyes for a few silent seconds before she finally looked away. "Is your money holding up?" she asked. "I'm good. How about you?" I asked back out of habit. The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted it. That simple question made her look at me in shock again. "I have enough," she replied slowly, plunging us both into silence. She glanced at the simple meal on my table and suddenly muttered, "I am sorry," caught off guard. I looked up, followed her gaze, and quickly waved my hands. "No, please. You have absolutely nothing to apologize for." She didn't say another word but instead walked over and sat down on the opposite sofa. Choosing her words carefully, she began, "Our assets have been fully liquidated to settle the business. Although we are left with nothing, we don't have any outstanding debts either. You don't have to worry about being hunted by creditors. I have 30,000 left. I will start earning money as soon as possible. Your card should still have 60,000. Plus I paid 6 months of rent up front here. If you want a divorce, I will give you another 20,000 to help you get settled. You can stay here until you find a place of your own." I knew she was doing everything humanly possible for me. Our entire net worth was only 90,000, yet she was willing to hand over 80,000 of it and let me crash here temporarily. On top of that, she wouldn't touch my expensive clothes or watches. That would leave her with just 1 bedroom and 10,000 cash. Seeing my silence, she added quietly, "As for my future income, I will set aside a portion to send you every single month. At least 3,000 a month, is that okay? Since I can't predict the future right now, this is all I can promise. If I ever build my empire back up, I will compensate you fully." I immediately shook my head in refusal, which made her fall completely silent. Realizing my silent gesture had caused a huge misunderstanding, I quickly explained myself. "No, you got it wrong. I don't want a divorce, and I definitely don't want your cash. My savings are plenty. I have accepted our new reality. From now on, I will be extremely careful with spending. I can even find a way to make my own money. Don't stress yourself out too much. A normal family doesn't need that much to get by." She blinked in confusion. You're not divorcing me? But yesterday, didn't you say? I suddenly remembered my predecessor's furious rant. He had screamed that she was useless and demanded a divorce. Blushing with embarrassment, I stammered, I was completely drunk yesterday. I didn't mean any of it. Since we are married, I want to take responsibility for our life. You don't have to worry about me at all. Supporting myself is a piece of cake. Heck, maybe I can even support you too. The moment I said that, her expression grew even stranger. Still, she didn't push. If you don't want a divorce, we'll drop it. Just let me know whenever you change your mind. She stood up and headed to the bathroom. I awkwardly looked down to finish my snack. I heard her footsteps pause for a few seconds right inside the door. She must have noticed how clean and organized everything was. Soon after, the sound of running water filled the air. By the time I finished my food, she came out of the bathroom. Thankfully, there was no awkward tension. Thank you for cleaning. Get some sleep, she said softly. I scratched my head, feeling like I was in a dream. I quickly washed up and opened my laptop in my room. I registered an online seller account on a second-hand marketplace, then shut down the computer to sleep. The next morning I woke up habitually at 6:30. I prepped the ingredients from yesterday, started brewing some porridge, and headed downstairs to buy fresh steamed buns and deep-fried dough sticks. When I got back, she was just walking out of her bedroom. Hearing the door, she looked up and spotted the breakfast in my hands. She rubbed her eyes, probably convinced she was dreaming. Good morning. I bought breakfast and brewed some porridge. Go wash up first. I strolled into the kitchen to check on the pot, ignoring her bewildered stare. Since we both had a habit of staying up late, I specifically made red date and red bean porridge to boost our blood flow. Once it was ready, I ladled out 2 steaming bowls. I plated the buns, boiled a few eggs, and prepared a quick side dish. When she stepped out of the bathroom, she was greeted by a surprisingly hearty spread on the dining table. Although the scene was incredibly cozy, it only seemed to trigger her suspicions. She knew her husband too well. In over 3 years of marriage, I had never touched a single chore or cooked a meal. My only skill was spending money. Even her premarital background checks never mentioned I had any domestic skills. Her mind was swirling with debts. Was I faking it all along? I quickly explained. We used to have maids and chefs, so I never had a reason to do anything. But now that it's just us and cash is tight, eating out feels wrong. My cooking is basic, but it is totally edible. If you don't mind, we can eat at home from now on. So when Grandpa asked if you could cook, you lied to him? She asked, scooping a spoonful of porridge into her mouth. I froze for a split second, then quickly laughed it off with a casual excuse. My cooking is nothing compared to professional chefs. I knew Grandpa was used to gourmet delicacies, so I was too embarrassed to show off my excuse. Barely passed, she nodded gently. Actually, it is quite good. I noticed her movements were still incredibly elegant. It must be tough for a woman raised on elite cuisine to eat simple street food. After we finished, she reached to help clear the dishes, but I quickly stopped her. I've got this. Go ahead and get ready. I will handle the cleaning. Just go focus on whatever you need to get done today. She nodded. I still have to handle some leftover business, so I will be back late tonight. Don't worry about me. Call if you need anything. Once she stepped out, I finally let out a sigh of relief. Even bankrupt, her noble aura remained completely intact. That invisible pressure she radiated was intensely real. If I hadn't dealt with powerful figures in my previous life, I probably would have crumbled under her gaze. I had a busy schedule ahead of me today too. I needed to buy some household essentials and start photographing those watches and clothes to list them online. With so many valuable items, selling them all could easily fetch over 1 million. That would give her the starting capital to rebuild. Beyond that, I had plans. I needed to study this world's online market and see if I could return to my old trade. Back in my original world, I was a successful web novel writer. I majored in interior design but preferred writing full-time, only taking freelance design gigs for extra cash. Life had been pretty sweet back then. I washed the dishes, grabbed my shopping list, and headed out. I hate window shopping, so I bought everything quickly, set it all up at home, and spent the entire afternoon photographing watches and clothes. By nightfall, I was exhausted. I only managed to finish photographing the watches. After warming up and scarfing down a few leftover buns, I crawled back to bed to write. Physical labor was out of the question, so I stuck to brain work. 2 hours later, I clapped my hands in absolute delight. Down-going my coffee, I realized the web novel industry here was slightly behind my old world. I could easily rewrite my old hits with better pacing and structure. This was a total goldmine. Just then, the sound of the front door unlocking caught my attention. I hesitated for a second before jumping out of bed and slipping into my house shoes. Earlier today, I noticed she hadn't locked the front door last night. She was probably too used to living in a secure villa to remember. As I approached, she froze. Yeah, I'm back. I only realized this morning that the front door wasn't deadbolted last night. Back when she lived in that villa, dedicated security handled everything. Now that we are here, we have to lock it ourselves. Otherwise, a burglar could easily pry it open. Got it. The two of us were basically like total strangers. I had to take the initiative and spark a conversation. I asked if she had eaten, and she said yes. I mentioned I bought some daily necessities, and to let me know if she needed anything. She said she was fine. Conversation dead. What else could I say? I thought for 3 seconds and decided to escape the awkwardness. I told her I was heading back to my room, and she could call me if she needed anything. Once my door shut, Bai Ningbing finally looked around. She even checked out to the kitchen and bathroom. The place had a lot more stuff today. It felt way more lived in than before. She probably wondered if I actually planned on staying here, since I acted like a totally different person. Of course, I had no idea what she was doing. I was completely focused on cleaning up my laptop. The original owner worked hard in high school to a top university, but basically slacked off during college. His computer skills were a total disaster. This laptop was running painfully slow. I had to clean out all the junk and see what the original owner had been up to. As I was digging through his files, I found a photo folder. Inside were tons of subfolders. Most were his own selfies, a few were of his parents, but the last folder had a completely scrambled name. I clicked it open and boy, there they were. Photos of him, cozying up with some woman. This woman was clearly some high society figure. She was pretty, but definitely not my type. When she smiled, she had this oversilly innocent fragile look. Seeing the two of them acting so incredibly intimate made my very soul shiver with anxiety. I quickly checked the dates. Thank goodness they were all taken before the marriage. That gave me a heart attack. I kept a few harmless pictures and deleted the rest immediately. By then I remembered who she was. She was the original owner's college girlfriend. She was some rich heiress, but they had been broken up for ages. There was absolutely no point in keeping this stuff. It was lucky Bai Ningbing wasn't the suspicious type, because if she found these, they would be a ticking time bomb. By the time I finished, it was almost 11 o'clock. I yawned and crashed straight into bed. The next morning I woke up even earlier. Instead of going out to buy breakfast, I decided to whip up some fried rice and 2 side dishes. By the time Bai Ningbing woke up, the meal was already on the table. She walked out after washing up, just in time to eat. Looking at the hearty fried rice, she seemed a bit surprised. "You actually know how to cook?" she asked. I smiled. "Yeah, I don't know too many fancy dishes, but everyday home cooking is no problem. It might not be gourmet, but it's edible. Don't judge." She took a bite and nodded. "Actually, it's pretty good." I smiled. "Glad you like it." Then she surprised me. "I'll be back for lunch today." I froze for a second before quickly recovering. "Oh, what would you like?" "Whatever you make is fine." "Sure," I replied. "How about sweet and sour pork ribs, stir-fried tomatoes and eggs and egg drop soup? Will that be enough for you?" "Should be." "Great, go ahead and focus on your work then." After eating, she grabbed her coat and headed out. I cleaned up the dishes as usual. Once she left the building, she got into a car parked near the entrance. Her driver was her old assistant Gu Xinhan, a childhood friend handpicked by her grandfather. The moment she sat down, Xinhan handed her a paper bag. "Ningbing, I got your favorite breakfast." She shook her head. "No thanks, I already ate. Xiao Shu made me fried rice." Gu Xinhan froze in shock, her hands suspended in the air. "Wait, what, he actually knows how to cook?" "Honestly, I had no idea either," my wife replied. "He made congee yesterday, which I thought was a miracle. When he claimed he could cook, I thought he was just bragging. But then he made fried rice today, and when I mentioned coming back for lunch, he even offered to make proper dishes." Hearing about my sudden change, Gu Xinhan frowned. "Wait, does he have some hidden agenda? You two used to completely ignore each other, and he couldn't do a single thing right. Didn't he demand a divorce earlier? I even looked up the entire process for you. Why hasn't he mentioned it again?" My wife looked up with a thoughtful smile. "He changed his mind. He said he has accepted our new reality and wants to build a decent life with me now. He even promised to start earning money so I wouldn't have so much pressure." Gu Xinhan leaned back, laughing softly. "Wow, maybe he just can't stand seeing you struggle and wants to share the burden. If that's true, he actually sounds decent. But he was useless in college, and for the first 2 years of your marriage, he only spent your cash. One day he wants a divorce, the next he changes his mind. What do you think? Hard times reveal a person's true character. Maybe his conscience kicked in. You never truly know someone until trouble strikes," Gu Xinhan added. "We've seen plenty of people turn their backs on us lately. Maybe Xiaoyu is just one of those guys whose real integrity only shows in a crisis. Maybe. Let's get moving. At least he won't get in the way. We'll see." Meanwhile, I spent my entire morning taking photos of my wardrobe. I had over 80 outfits that I would never wear. Keeping about 10 for special occasions was plenty. I could sell the rest to buy normal clothes. Ordinary clothes. After 2 hours, I was only halfway done. I checked the wall clock and saw it was already 10. Realizing I needed to buy groceries, I quickly packed up the clothes, threw on a random jacket, and headed out, leaving the supermarket with 2 heavy bags. I walked back to our complex. Just as I crossed the street, someone called out my name. I turned around and saw a gorgeous, immaculately dressed woman. I squinted. Wait, wasn't this the exact woman from those old photos I found last night? Seeing me turn around, she rushed right over. "Xiaoyu, how did you end up like this?" I looked down at my cheap jacket, then at my grocery bags. "Is there an issue? What are you even doing here?" With a deeply emotional expression, she pleaded. "Dump Bai Ningbing and come back to me. I can give you a much better life now. It kills me to see you struggling like this. Come back to me, and I'll make sure you're taken care of." If it weren't for the original owner's memories of this woman, I might have actually been touched by her puppy dog eyes. This was Lu Ruyan, the second heiress of the Lu group, and my host's ex-girlfriend. Back when they were dating, she loved playing him like a puppet while mocking him behind his back for chasing her money. Even though she was wealthy, she never spent a single cent on him. He paid for everything, and she treated him like a dog, summoning him whenever she wanted. She only put on this fake, deeply in love act once Bai Ningbing entered the picture. She wanted him to reject Bai Ningbing. He had been genuinely devoted to her, starving himself to save up cash to spoil her, while she just wanted a toy. Fortunately, the original owner had some common sense left and didn't completely lose himself in her trap. Back then, he almost rejected Bai Ningbing. Luckily, a twist of fate revealed Liu Ruyan's true, ugly colors, which finally shattered his illusions. That betrayal was exactly why he became convinced that money was the only thing you could trust, turning him into the greedy parasite he eventually became. She was responsible for at least half of his downfall, and now this toxic ex coming to find me had absolutely nothing to do with love. I didn't know what her angle was yet, but she was definitely up to no good. In the past, Bai Ningbing was someone she could only look up to. Now that my wife has lost her power, if I get easily seduced away, it would deal her another massive blow. Maybe she wants to hurt her more. I shook my head. I'm not leaving with you. Go back to wherever you came from. She frowned. Why? Bai Ningbing is completely ruined. She'll only make you suffer. What do you even get from her? I looked at her. We're married. Partners share the good times and the bad. I am her husband, so of course I'll stand by her. No matter what happens, I won't just throw her away. Even if she's completely broke or disabled, I'll still look after her. This has nothing to do with money or suffering. As long as she doesn't divorce me, I will never abandon her. Especially now when she needs me the most. Liu Ruyan stared at me. What kind of crazy talk is that? If I recall correctly, you two barely even spoke. She just threw money at you to shut you up. You don't even love her, so why suffer alongside her? She looked at me like I was a complete idiot. I scoffed. Who said she was bad to me? When she was wealthy, she gave me a massive allowance every single month. Sure, she was busy, but I got to spend whatever I wanted. Maybe that money was pocket change to her, but nobody's wealth grows on trees. Giving it was a favor, not an obligation. Since she took care of me then, I owe her now. Even after losing everything, she offered to let me keep the apartment and gave me most of her remaining cash. She has done more than enough for me. If that's not being a good spouse, I don't know what is. We didn't have love, but her decency alone deserves my respect. If she is bad, are you any better? She gaped. How am I not good? If you come back to me, I promise I'll treat you incredibly well. Before she could keep rambling, I cut her off. When I was flat broke back in college, you always looked down on me, claiming I was just a gold digger. In the 2 years we dated, you never spent a single dime on me. Your gifts were literally grocery store freebies. Meanwhile, I worked exhausting part-time jobs just to buy you nice things, only for you to turn around and dump me. You call that treating me well? She gasped, her eyes darkening. What are you talking about? Who do you think I am? Did Bai Ningbing feed you some lies to make you misunderstand me? I laughed. You think too highly of yourself. A woman like Bai Ningbing would never even mention your name to me. She doesn't even know you exist. You're the only one obsessively staring at her, desperately trying to get her attention. They say you see the world as you are. Go back to where you belong. I don't want to say anything nastier. Her eyes grew even darker. Taking a few steps closer, she forced a pathetic, fragile look. Xiaoyu, you've definitely been brainwashed by her. How could you think of me like that? I genuinely love you. Bai Ningbing is only holding on to you because she is broke and desperate now. You can't be this stupid. Stop right there, I said, backing away. Look, ditching your wife the second she hits rock bottom is incredibly trashy. I'm not that kind of guy. I will absolutely not abandon her now, so you can forget about it. If I ever do leave her, it will only be when she truly doesn't need me anymore. As Liu Ruyan opened her mouth to argue, sudden applause and cheering erupted from the side. Well said, young man. What great values. Seriously, if everyone thought like this, we wouldn't have so many divorces. You're a really good guy. Your wife is lucky to have you. She hit the jackpot. That's when I noticed a group of elderly folks nearby, clearly heading home from a workout. They walked over and the leading old man looked Liu Ruyan up and down, shaking his head. Come on, young lady. The man is happily married. Trying to steal my husband is just wrong. Imagine if you were married and some woman tried to steal your husband every day. How would that feel? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You say he should divorce his wife just because she lost her money? Can you guarantee you'll never run out of money yourself? These seniors were like someone flipped a switch. They all started lecturing her, not even giving Liu Ruyan a chance to argue back. In seconds, she was labeled a morally corrupt, hopeless homewrecker. I quickly cleared the way for them and hid behind the crowd, struggling to hold back my laughter. Yeah, she really needs a lesson. You guys should give her a piece of your mind. I have to go home and cook, so I'll head out first. Let's chat next time. No problem, you go ahead. We've got this. Meanwhile, Bai Ningbing and Guchishan sat in their car, taking in the whole season without moving. Only after seeing Liu Ruyan admit her mistake and get let go did Guchishan speak up in disbelief. Ningbing, was that Xiaoyu just now? I feel like he's a completely different person. It's him. Alright. Actually, Xiaoyu is a really good guy. Sure, we only knew him as a big spender before, but now that you're technically bankrupt, he refuses to leave you. He'd rather suffer just to stay by your side. And it's not even because of love, but out of sheer moral duty. Just like those seniors said, his values are incredibly upright. Right then, Bai Ningbing also felt her perception of me shifting. After saying goodbye to Gu Xinghan, she went straight back home. As soon as she opened the door, she saw me sitting on the living room rug hugging my laptop and typing away. The whole place smelled of rich, savory meat. "You're back," I said. She placed the fruit she bought on the coffee table and walked over out of curiosity. To her surprise, she saw I was writing a story. I told her I'd forgotten most of my college major, but I still remembered some of my old studies. Plus, I read a lot of web novels, so I wanted to give writing a shot. "Do you mind?" I asked, my fingers never pausing. Bai Ningbing felt this fit my situation perfectly. After all, she didn't expect me to make any money anyway. Non-committally, she just said, "Do whatever suits you." I knew this wealthy heiress probably looked down on web novels, or maybe just didn't understand them. So, I changed the subject. "The ribs are already stewing. Dinner should be ready in about an hour, why don't you go ahead and do your thing?" She nodded, washed up, changed her clothes and disappeared into her room. An hour later I knocked on her door and called her out to eat. On the table were 2 bowls of rice and a vibrant, colorful spread. I had even garnished the dishes, making it obvious they were prepared with care. "This is actually my first time making sweet and sour ribs, so I hope they're okay. Give them a try, and if they're not good, I can whip up a quick cucumber salad." Ever since my parents passed away during my college years, I had been living on my own. Influenced by them, my standards for quality of life weren't incredibly high, but they definitely weren't low either. I kept the place clean and cooked whenever I had time. My routine was very structured, so my survival skills were solid. What I said earlier was just being polite. While I wouldn't call myself a master chef, I could certainly handle home cooking. In fact, I was always the chef at friend gatherings, racking up plenty of compliments. Bai Ningbing picked up a piece, put it in her mouth and nodded. "Not bad, it's really good." "That's great to hear, go ahead and eat up. Things have been so chaotic lately, and you haven't been eating or sleeping well, you've had it rough." I poured a glass of freshly brewed lemon tea and slid it over. "This is lemon tea with a touch of honey to get you some vitamin C. Drink as much as you can, and don't complain if it's too sour." Her expression was deeply analytical, as if she felt the man sitting across from her was a total stranger, completely unlike the person in her files or the husband she'd lived with for 2 years. None of it matched up. But then again, she had never truly paid attention to him, so she couldn't guarantee her old background checks were perfect. Pushing her doubts aside, she whispered, "Thanks for your hard work." "No, not at all," I replied. "I'm just staying cozy inside all day while you're out there dealing with so much stress. You need to eat more." I smiled. Honestly, just thinking about it made things clear. Bai Ningbing used to be completely out of everyone's league. When the old patriarch of the Bai family was alive, nobody dared to cross them. And Bai Ningbing herself had been a prodigy since childhood, the golden child other parents used to shame their own kids. But now that the old man was gone, the distant relatives of the Bai family cared only about carving up whatever was left. They were practically begging for her to collapse, rather than offering a helping hand. They thrived on kicking her while she was down, eager to trample one's persons had to look up to. To be honest, back when I was reading this novel before I transmigrated, I never understood why Bai Ningbing refused to let her wealthy friends help her out. If she had just accepted their aid, she wouldn't have fallen this hard. But since our relationship isn't exactly close right now, I felt too awkward to ask. I figured she was a proud young mistress after all, and likely had her own reasons. As for how she liked the meal, I couldn't tell, but I was definitely full and satisfied. She probably didn't hate my cooking either, considering she ate 2 whole bowls. "I'll leave the dishes in the kitchen, don't worry about them," I said. "I'll wash them after my nap." Dropping the dishes into the sink, I washed some fruit, set it on the coffee table, and curled right back up to work. Writing something I had already written in my past life meant my typing speed was blazing fast. By the end of the morning, I had already knocked out a 2,000-word outline. At this rate, I estimated I could finish 20,000 words by tomorrow and submit the draft. Bai Ningbing and I were going through a rough patch and desperately needed money. I didn't know the first thing about business, so earning some extra cash was the only way I could ease her burden. Bai Ningbing went back to her room, shutting the door behind her to do who knows what. Around 1:30, I forced myself to shut the laptop and head for a nap, plunging the living room into silence. Inside her bedroom, Bai Ningbing hesitated before sending a text reply. "Forget it, Gu Qinghan, let's see how he behaves first. No need to investigate him for now. Maybe I'm just overthinking, let's wait a bit." Less than an hour later, my alarm blared. I dragged myself out of bed, feeling a bit groggy as I stumbled toward the bathroom. Finding the sliding door closed, I mentally cursed my own forgetfulness as I grabbed the handle and yanked it open. Just as I was about to step inside, I froze, locking eyes with the person already in there. "Sorry, I'm half asleep, I thought I was alone," I yelled out, blushing furiously as I bolted back to my room and slammed the door, wishing I could just disappear. It was unbelievably embarrassing. It took me a good while to calm down before I finally twisted the doorknob and walked out. Right then, Bai Ningbing stepped out of the bathroom, and our eyes met once more. Even with 15 feet separating us, she spoke calmly. "Don't worry about it, the place is small. We're bound to bump into each other, so we'll just have to get used to it." "Yeah, you're right," I mumbled, Are you not going out today? I've already finished my errands, so I'm staying in this afternoon, she said. Then, she seemed to remember something. Is there anything you need my help with? I felt a sudden wave of anxiety. What's wrong? Is something happening? I might have grown up pampered in the Bai family, but I'm not totally helpless. And my basic life skills aren't terrible. Now that we're sharing this small home, you can tell me directly if you need anything. Don't just act polite. Okay, I got it, I replied, looking at her dead face. I actually found her serious expression pretty adorable. Honestly, whether she succeeded or failed in business, her looks were absolutely flawless. As the most beautiful woman written into this novel, she looked stunning even with a completely blank expression. I realized that keeping my cool and not falling for a woman like her required some serious, legendary self-control. After I finished speaking, she gave me a deeply meaningful look before returning to her room. Suddenly, a thought struck me. I rushed over and stood outside her door. What do you want? Anything is fine. I'm not picky, she replied. Well, the young mistress was surprisingly easy to please. I wandered back and sat by the coffee table to continue typing. After finishing a chapter, I suddenly remembered the items I had listed on the secondhand market and logged in to check. Holy cow! 12 watches and 2 outfits had already sold. I didn't know much about luxury values, so I had looked up the prices online first and listed them at a 20% discount. Most of them were still brand new in the box, but since I was worried Bai Ningbing might need cash fast, I kept the prices low. I was actually worried nobody would buy such expensive stuff, but they were flying off the shelves. After saving the shipping addresses and the file, I rushed into the room to grab the watches and clothes. Since there was a lot to ship, I decided to book a courier pickup. Half an hour later, everything was packaged up, and the courier arrived. Bai Ningbing must have heard the commotion because she opened her door and stepped out. What are you doing? She asked. There were too many clothes and watches, and since I rarely go out, they were just taking up space. So I sorted through them and decided to sell some. These are the ones that sold today, so I need to ship them out to the buyers. You don't have to do that, she protested. We're not desperate enough for you to sell your things. I told her they were just taking up space, and weren't even the latest models anymore, so I wouldn't use them. Selling them makes more sense. Plus, if I see some new stuff I like, I can always buy them later. That sounded like a perfect way to save her pride, right? I felt pretty thoughtful, but somehow, one of my words touched her heart. Bai Ningbing suddenly grabbed my hand, which trembled slightly before she let go. Without objecting further, she softly agreed. All right, we'll buy you new ones later. As if I'd ever buy new ones, I thought. A single watch cost tens of thousands, which is enough to cover my living expenses for 6 months. I'd be broke in no time. But I didn't let any of that show on my face. Spoiled young ladies need to save face after all. I flashed a warm smile. I'll be waiting for you to buy me a new watch then. Bai Ning was momentarily dazed by the smile, which was familiar yet had felt so incredibly foreign lately. She cast her gaze down toward the boxes on the floor, bent over to pick them up, and helped load them into the courier's bag. Once the courier left with the packages, Bai Ningbing finally looked at me and asked, "How much do you plan to sell?" I originally had over 100 watches and 80 outfits, and over 70 of those watches are still brand new. I plan to sell all of them. Out of the remaining 50, I'll probably need 40 of them and keep 10. As for the clothes, I'll keep about 30 outfits and sell the rest. I fully expected Bai Ningbing to stop me, but to my surprise, Bai Ningbing just nodded and said nothing else. She casually picked up an apple and sat on the couch, peeling it. I couldn't read her mind at all. Did I just bruise her pride? Well, real life is more important than these messy thoughts anyway. Even if she minds, I can't help it. This morning I checked the local housing market and saw prices are only halfway at their peak. I have no idea what her plans are, or if she will actually make a comeback, but either way I need to secure a house first. Selling these watches and clothes will cover the down payment. I can give the rest to Bai Ningbing and handle the mortgage myself. That way, even if she never recovers her fortune, we'll still have a roof over our heads. My mind was racing. I stared blankly at my laptop screen on the coffee table. Suddenly, a perfectly peeled apple appeared right in front of me. The sweet aroma hit me instantly. The skin was peeled so evenly and beautifully. I instinctively swallowed my spit. It was Bai Ningbing, holding the apple out to me. Is this for me? She nudged it closer and said, "Sorry to make you suffer." I was totally blown away. The Bai Ningbing in the novel never ever got close to men, let alone showed them any patience. Now she was peeling fruit for me, and doing a gorgeous job of it. Shocked, I quickly took it and said, "It's really nothing. It was bought with your money anyway, and back then you didn't judge me for being a spendthrift. I'm already so grateful." Suddenly she actually smiled. She usually has this aloof, unapproachable face, but seeing her smile right now completely dazed me. How could anyone in this world look this stunning? "Don't worry, I will definitely buy you more watches in the future," she said. I nodded automatically, then blushed once I realized what was happening. "I know you'll make a comeback," I said. "No rush. I'll wait for you to buy me those watches. You've got this, Ningbing." She just smiled faintly, got up and went back to her room. Out of my sight, a flicker of amusement crossed her eyes. I spent the rest of the afternoon writing like mad, finally churning out over 10,000 words. We grabbed a quick dinner and went back to our own work. I stayed up late and managed to finish 20,000 words before midnight. After breakfast the next morning, as soon as she left, I got to work submitting my draft. I checked the second-hand site and saw I'd sold 8 more watches and an outfit. It felt like a mountain of cash was pouring right into my wallet. I was in a fantastic mood, but just as I finished submitting the draft, there was a knock at the door. I stood up to open it. A man's voice came from outside. "It's Liu Jingnian." Wait, who the heck is Liu Jingnian? I tried to remember as I walked to the door, but the name drew a total blank. When I opened it, there was a guy standing there with a sort of rugged bad boy look. The moment he saw me, he sized me up from head to toe with this incredibly judging stare, making me feel very uncomfortable. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" he asked, already trying to push his way past. Having no clue who he was, I quickly blocked his path. "Who are you looking for?" I asked. "If you're Gu Xiaoyu, then I'm looking for you," he said, squeezing past me into the apartment. "Sister Bai isn't here, is she?" he muttered. Since he was already inside, I couldn't really throw him out. I closed the door and set a cup of tea in front of him. "She's out, left early this morning. What do you want with me?" "Of course I want something," he replied. "Honestly, you look decent, but you have no family background and zero capability. Sister Bai marrying you was a total tragedy. I know her grandfather only forced the marriage to repay some old favor, but you've been married to her for years and haven't helped her career one bit. You don't know how to do anything except shop and play. Don't you feel ashamed?" "Can I ask who exactly you are to her?" I asked. "Sister Bai and I grew up together as childhood sweethearts. She was always so good to me. If not for you, we would probably be together by now." "Well, I've never heard of you," I retorted. "Obviously," he snapped. "Did you expect her to bring up our childhood relationship to your face?" True, Bai Ningbing definitely wouldn't mention him to my body's original owner. First, they weren't close, and second, she was not the type to gossip. I nodded. "So why are you here?" "Right now, Sister Bai desperately needs help," he said. "How can you have the nerve to keep dragging her down? My dad agreed to help her make a comeback, but only if she and I get married. So you need to divorce her. If she wants a divorce, she can tell me herself. Why would she need you to relay it? It's not like I'm some shameless leech. Or is this actually just your own idea?" "Sister Bai would never do something so classless," he argued. "Of course she's too embarrassed to say it, so you must take the initiative. You've spent so much of her money over the years and never helped her once, yet she never gave you a hard time. Now that she's struggling and you can't help, shouldn't you at least stop dragging her down? If you ask for a divorce, she can just go with it, and everyone saves face. Is this her decision? This is my decision. Why don't you get it?" he snapped. "She would never ask for this herself, so we have to take the lead to help her. Once you divorce her, I can marry her and get my dad's help for her. If this was her idea, I'd divorce her in a heartbeat. But since it's yours, let me ask, before we got married, were the two of you ever together? Does she actually love you?" Liu Jingnian froze mid-sip. "That doesn't matter. She's just bad at expressing her feelings," he scoffed. "Besides, she doesn't love you either. I can actually help her, while you're just a burden. I'm 100 times better for her." "You are completely wrong," I replied. "I might not know her perfectly, but I'm positive she would never accept your father's help, especially if marrying you is the price. You think convincing your dad to help her is doing her a favor, but you haven't considered what happens if she relies on him to rebuild her life. How would she ever hold her head up in public? She'd forever be labeled as someone who used marriage to gain wealth. I might not know her inside out, but I know the villain in the novel isn't some freeloader. Actually, if she weren't so proud and refused to bend her knees, she wouldn't have faced so many struggles in the first place. How could someone like that trade her marriage for a comeback? At least, not anytime soon. Honestly, I wouldn't mind a divorce, but definitely not like this. Not because someone else is pressuring me. I made my stance clear. Whatever Ningbing decides to do is up to her and I respect her choice." Liu Jingnian looked like I'd stepped on his tail. "You just want to cling to her and refuse a divorce? How can you be so incredibly selfish?" he shrieked. "Sister Bai has been more than generous with you. Now she finally has a shot at a comeback and you're ruining it. You are absolutely disgusting. Mr. Slu, I've been patient enough with you. You barge in here spouting nonsense. Anyone else would think you're just some desperate homewrecker trying to break up a... Since when does our relationship require an outsider's opinion? Even if you genuinely want to help her, you should be talking to her, not me. I can't make decisions for her anyway. And it's not like I'm desperately clinging to this marriage. If you actually think about it for a second, you would see it. If she truly loved you, why didn't you marry before her grandfather found me? If the feelings weren't quite there, why weren't you two even dating? You keep insisting she's not a backstabber, yet here you are, betraying her values on her behalf. You haven't considered her real problems at all. What right do you have to judge me?" he barked. "You're just a pretty boy who does nothing but spend her money. What right do you have to say anything?" "I have every right because I'm still her legal husband. As long as I am, I have the right to call out anyone trying to wreck our marriage. Sure, in the past I only spent her money and didn't help, but she let me buy those things. She didn't mind at all, so why are you so stressed? If you want to marry her, go convince her. If she agrees, I'll divorce her immediately. But screaming at me here won't work. You're shameless." Liu Jingnian was so angry, he slammed his cup down on the table. I wasn't even angry anymore. I just calmly played with my own cup. You're trying to break up a marriage and don't feel shameless, yet you have the nerve to call me that? Since we clearly don't see eye to eye, there's no point in talking. So you just refuse to divorce her, he barked. Think whatever you want, I replied, getting his answer and realizing he wouldn't get his way today. He stormed off, but not before throwing one last threat my way. Just you wait, sister, I will dump you eventually. The door slammed shut. I let out a long sigh. It's one thing for the female lead to attract people, but even the villain is a magnet. Honestly, if my conscience didn't stop me, I would divorce her. But that's just a thought. I can't just take over someone's body and act like I own the place. Even though I didn't spend her money, I'm still her husband on paper. Pushing it out of my head, I opened the browser to note down the shipping addresses and watch models. I went to my room, packed up the sold watches, and called the courier to ship them out. Adding it all up, today's sales brought in nearly 2 million yuan. Once the buyers get their packages, my account will be flooded with cash. If I sell a few more items, I can secure a down payment on a small apartment and finally own a home. That thought pumped me up. Deciding to pause the sales, I opened the browser to look up local real estate listings. My very first home had to be perfect. Before I knew it, noon was creeping up. I didn't even bother closing the browser and dashed to the kitchen. When she left this morning, she told me she was coming home for lunch. I was so lost in daydreaming about our future that I completely lost track of time. I decided to make wontons. The filling was ready, and the wrappers were bought yesterday, so my hands moved fast, almost like a rhythm, pumping out one every few seconds. I had over 20 wrapped in no time. While I was busy, the young lady returned. I didn't even look up. You're back? I asked. Yes, what are you doing? She replied, standing by the door, only seeing my hands moving fast but not what I was actually making. Wrapping wontons, I replied naturally. We're having wontons for lunch, and I'll make some flatbread too, so you don't have to worry about going hungry. It came out so naturally, making bread and wontons. This wasn't something a regular home cook could pull off. I saw doubt flicker in Bai Ningbing's eyes again, but watching me sit there so quietly, wrapping wontons with effortless, practiced ease, she decided it wasn't worth overthinking. I haven't had these in ages, Bai Ningbing blurted. She seemed to realize as how odd that sounded, heading to the bathroom to wash her hands to hide her embarrassment. I didn't notice, I was just glad to eat them. I love wontons myself. With all her recent business troubles, she definitely hadn't had the headspace to think about food. Besides, wontons are just street food, so going without them made sense. Want some more? I can easily cook an extra batch. I'll freeze the leftover uncooked ones. If we ever get lazy, we can just boil them. Sure, cook a bit more, Bai Ningbing said, drying her hands. She hadn't touched street food in forever, not since maybe 3 or 4 years ago. If I hadn't brought it up, she wouldn't have noticed how long it had been since she relaxed. Got it, a big batch it is, I said, wrapping some swiftly. To me, life was full of hope and tiny moments of joy. A good life is what you make of it. Getting a second chance at life is a massive blessing, and every gift should be cherished. Wrapping and eating wontons with her is pure happiness. Nearly an hour later, 2 steaming bowls of wontons were served. I called Bai Ningbing over and sat down, gesturing for her to sit. Smiling expectantly, I said, hurry and try one. I think they're great, but let's see how you rate them. Wontons alone aren't very filling, so I also threw together some wraps. By the way, do you eat wraps? She found my question amusing but kept a straight face. Of course, I'm a normal human being. She sat down and took a bite. She chewed thoughtfully and nodded. Not bad at all, told you. I'm a natural, probably because I love them so much. Since you like them, we ate at different speeds. Although she only ate about half as much as I did, she finished at the exact same time. When I went to wash up, she suddenly spoke. I'll buy a dishwasher soon. It's just a few bowls. No need to waste money, it doesn't cost much. It's fine, she replied. I winced, looking conflicted. What is it? She asked. I realized she still hadn't adjusted to our new reality. She didn't seem to get that we weren't rich anymore. I debated whether to remind her, but seeing her slight frown, the harsh truth softened as it left mouth. Okay, I'll go pick one out. Don't worry about it, I'm incredibly picky, so it might take me forever to choose. I sighed internally. Good looks really give people an unfair advantage. I couldn't bear to say a single word that might wound her pride. Since I'd established I was picky, dragging my feet on buying it would make sense. Watching my awkward hesitation, Bai Ningbing suddenly realized what her husband was agonizing over. A strange sensation washed over her. Although her grandfather had forced her to experience poverty early on, she hadn't felt truly broke since she finished her training at 15. This time, it wasn't actually that she had no money, but rather that her legal husband thought she was broke. Yet even believing that, he hadn't shamed her about it. It was a bizarrely warm feeling she couldn't quite explain. I have work, going to my room, Bai Ningbing said. She turned and left, leaving me alone with the dishes. I hummed a tune while washing up. Life was honestly pretty great: food, shelter, solid watch and clothing sales, and a new house on the horizon. Things were looking up. With her talent, she'll make a comeback sooner or later. Maybe she'll even throw some cash my way. But even if she doesn't, I can provide for us. Having her around as a friend is comforting. I won't have to face any emergencies completely alone. We won't live like this forever. If she eventually wants a divorce, I'll agree, and maybe find the right person later. I washed up for a nap. Just then Bai Ningbing opened her door. Did Lu Jinyan give you trouble today? Not exactly. He wanted me to divorce you, but I said no. I assumed you two were over. If you still have feelings we can divorce any time. He said his dad could help if we married. There's nothing between us, I won't divorce you for him. You did the right thing, she said. Besides, his father couldn't solve this mess anyway. I thought so too. I stood up heading to my room for a rest when she stopped me with a searching look. When did you pick up the habit of napping? I felt self-conscious. Well, I realized my old lifestyle was ruining my health. Since I have a weak constitution, I'm forcing myself to adjust. You should try a quick midday snooze too, it really boosts focus. Go rest then, she said, heading back inside. I stood there feeling slightly anxious, wondering if I had said something wrong. But honestly, after surviving a massive family bankruptcy, who wouldn't change their habits? Inside her bedroom, Bai Ningbing sat at her desk, staring into space. Finally she picked up her phone and made a quick call. Order a high-end dishwasher and have it sent over in a few days. There are still things I need to evaluate. For now, let's keep playing along. Putting her phone down, her gaze drifted to her bed. My enthusiastic advice about taking an afternoon nap echoed in her head. Was it really that good? Before she knew it, she had curled up on the bed, feeling her muscles completely relax. It actually felt wonderful. Buried under stressful work for years, she hadn't slept like this in absolute ages. Unknowingly, 2:30 p.m. rolled around. I stepped out of my room, stretched thoroughly, and washed my face. Opening the bathroom door, I saw Bai Ningbing stepping out of her room, eyes still slightly glazed with sleep. Heavens, does she always look this stunning when waking up? Hard to believe she's slated to be the story's villain. The author put so much love into her, only to hand her tragedy. Such a tragedy. My face apparently betrayed my thoughts, showing a flash of pity that caught her off guard. She winced slightly, looking away to hide her discomfort. Do you need the restroom? She asked stiffly. No, go ahead. I'm all done. I stood aside after she went in. I sat down at my laptop. Opening my messaging app, I found a new friend request with a note. Editor from the web novel platform. Novel editor. Hearing my excitement, Bai Ningbing walked out. What is it? My novel passed the initial review. If it clears the next rounds, I'll be making real cash. Thanks, it's a mutual win. I immediately dove back into my screen, typing away. Seeing me occupied, she quietly went back to the bathroom. Later, the courier arrived to pick up my packages. Mr. Gu, do you run an online shop? These watches look amazing. Can I buy one cheap as a gift for my boyfriend? I froze, waving my hands. Oh, sorry, I'm just shipping them for a friend. Actually, they're quite expensive, easily over $10,000 each. I don't have the authority to cut deals, but I can ask him if you want. Over 10,000? Gosh, are these all luxury pieces? Honestly, I don't know, but they're definitely pricey. Just then the elevator door slid open. Bai Ningbing stepped out, having overheard everything. What is going on? Nothing, just the courier wanted to buy a watch. I offered to ask my friend for a discount, but she quickly waved it off. No, if they're luxury. Never mind, I'm just a regular person. I can't afford that. Is this all of them? If so, I'll log them in and head out. Yep, just these. Thanks for making the trip. She gathered the parcels and headed down the elevator. That was when I realized I was blocking the entrance. I stepped back to let her in. Back early? Didn't have much to do. I lied about the watches because flashing wealth here felt risky. Security wasn't guaranteed. If neighbors caught on, we'd be targeted. Plus, that courier visits often now. If she knew the watches were mine but I refused a fat discount, resentment could build. What if she decided to retaliate by damaging my packages? Filing claims is a massive headache, and you can never trust a stranger. Since we barely know her, why risk it? Good point, she said. Oh, by the way, there's a gala coming up. We need to attend together. I don't really do high society events. Won't I just embarrass you? Don't worry. At this point, nobody can make my situation any worse. A little extra drama won't kill me. She calmly poured herself a glass of water. Her words left a bitter taste in my mouth. Okay, I'll prepare. For the next 2 days, she worked crazy hours, but we still shared meals. I kept cooking for two, dividing my time between writing packing orders and researching galas. But when she walked in today, she realized I wasn't my usual lazy self on the couch. Instead, I sat bolt upright, staring expectantly. Seeing the mountain of clothes on the sofa, she blinked. What's this? Buying a new wardrobe? Help me, young mistress. I have no idea what to wear to a gala. These are the best options I could find. Which one looks better? Come on, take a look. She frowned slightly. Didn't you always prefer styling yourself? Well, I guess I was just being defensive back then. I used to desperately guard my fragile pride, but now I get it. You are who you are. Why be so sensitive and invite contempt? It is better to just frankly admit I cannot love. You really have it figured out, she said. Now look at these suits. I cannot make up my mind. Bai Ningbing scanned the options and casually pointed to a classic black suit. This one. It is understated and fits well. Let us go with that. Once we decided, I began packing up the other clothes, putting them away. When we left, Bai Ningbing drove. I purposely sat in the back at me in the rearview mirror. You are wearing so little, aren't you cold? I am fine, it has long sleeves, not that cold. Why do I feel like your attitude toward me is a bit strange? How could that be? We have no grudges and you are so good to me, I cannot thank you enough. It is just that we rarely interacted before. Seeing you constantly now is just a bit unfamiliar. You will get used to it over time. Bai Ningbing watched me through the mirror. I scratched my head, my fake smile fading into a daze. Suddenly, I lost the desire to speak. Silence fell between us until we arrived at the city's largest hotel. As Bai Ningbing and I reached the entrance, someone deliberately blocked our path. It was a chubby man with greasy, shiny hair arm in arm with a flamboyantly dressed woman. An obvious smug look of malice was plastered across his face. Guangyuan Group is keeping a close eye on that land in the east, Mr. Li. Shouldn't you look into it? He froze, his face twitching before he forced a smile. President Bai, you are as elegant as ever. Good to see you again. Bai Ningbing ignored him entirely, leading me straight past him. Following her inside, I spotted several fair-weather friends from my past. They were all live-in husbands or sons of wealthy families, and none of them were taken seriously by their peers. Seeing me with a glass, some tried to approach but shrank back upon spotting Bai Ningbing. A few even gestured to me with their eyes.
Aren't you going over? Why would I?
That is suicide. I am staying right here. We were never close anyway, just superficial acquaintances. Now that things have changed, it is better not to be friends. We had barely walked a few steps when two young men and their female companions approached. The older one, around 30 years old, wore a fake smile. Well, if it isn't Miss Bai, long time no see. And this gentleman beside you is, look at my memory. He is Miss Bai's husband, right? It is rare to see you two out together. Is life tough lately? Are you short on cash? People always said your marriage was failing, but this proves them wrong. It has been a while, Bai Ningbing replied. I thought you were too sick to get out of bed and passed away, but look at you, still standing. Smart people avoid a ditch once they trip, but some fools refuse to learn until they drown in it. Don't you agree with me, Mr. Tang? Well, yes, but some pits were once traps, and are now treasures lying on the ground. Naturally, everyone wants to pick up a prize. I am sure you understand my meaning, Miss Bai. By the way, I heard that you most recently run into some business trouble. Since we are acquaintances, I will offer some friendly advice. Sometimes wealth is not just money, it can also be a person. I instinctively clenched my fists and stepped right in front of Bai Ningbing in front of her. Just then a female voice called out from behind, "Second sister, what are you doing here?" The two men's faces immediately fell. Stepping back, she added, just looking around. What are you two doing here? Since when has my sister been someone you can casually approach? Have the Tang and Shi families sunk this low? Why are you still standing there, waiting for me to kick you out? Do you think I am as soft-tempered as my second sister? The two men nodded and immediately spun on their heels to leave. Their female companions curiously tried to look back at Xiao Rongyu but were harshly scolded. Second sister, honestly, why did you bring him? Even if you did, you should have warned me first. Those two idiots actually dared to act tough in front of you. You are way too nice. It is fine. Just some minor clowns, she replied. But what about you? I rarely see you here. Why did you show up today? I was worried you would run into some blind idiots. I had a tough time getting my manager to cancel my schedule for this. Thank goodness I came, or who knows what those two fools would have said to you. Xiao Rongyu turned to look at me, sizing me up critically from head to toe. Given my second sister's current situation, you will not get any money out of her. Stop acting. Just pack up and leave. I smiled awkwardly and remained silent. Don't talk nonsense. We are not divorced yet, Bai Ningbing corrected. Let's sit over there. Fine. I will go with you. With Xiao Rongyu sitting beside us, thankfully no one else dared to approach us. With any status, knew Xiao Rongyu was not to be messed with. I thought I would face many awkward moments tonight, but after several sitting for a bit, Bai Ningbing wanted to leave. Xiao Rongyu tried to invite her somewhere but she declined. After refusing, we headed back together. Sitting in the car, I watched Bai Ningbing drive. I hesitated for a full 3 minutes, before gathering the courage to ask, did you achieve your goal for the banquet today? I suppose so. I sold those watches and clothes earlier, right? Now I have a small sum of money. Since our assets are sorted and we have no debt, I thought why not buy a small apartment? We can make a down payment, and later I can pay off the rest with my writing royalties. We can keep 6 months of living expenses for emergencies. Use the rest for your business. Bai Ningbing was taken aback, staring through the mirror. No rush, but why not? Property prices change every day. If we do not buy soon, we will lose money. Renting is not a long-term solution. If you mind, we can register it under your name. Having a house ensures we will always have a place to settle down. Okay, I will think about it, she replied. Back home that night, I returned to my room to keep writing, while Bai Ningbing received a phone call. Second sister, I found what you wanted. I sent an encrypted file to your email files. I have not shared this with anyone. Take a look. Bai Ningbing's laptop screen showed her email inbox. She let out a soft sigh, her fingers casually tapping the desk in a rhythmic pattern, her brows furrowing slightly. After a long silence, she picked up her phone and dialed a number. Hello, Master Wang. I wanted to ask, is it possible in this world for someone, without having split personality or schizophrenia, to suddenly act like they turned into a completely different person? Like even their habits and core values have totally shifted. Hanging up after a few minutes, Bai Ningbing leaned back in her seat. A smile suddenly curled on her expressionless face. A soul taking over a body? The next morning, Bai Ningbing slowly finished her steamed roll. Suddenly, she looked up, seemingly curious. What kind of stories do you usually write? My hands paused, still holding my bun. My writing? I write pretty much all kinds of genres, I guess. I do not limit myself. I like writing everything, but my favorite is transmigration fiction. I love imaginative portal fantasy. Does transmigration actually exist? Probably. I think it is real. No one can say for sure what this world really is can say for sure. Sometimes we think we live in reality, but maybe it is just a world constructed in some author's book. Who knows? Since we cannot even confirm that, how can we claim transmigration does not exist? Constructed world. Of course, in someone else's story, maybe we are just some nameless extra, or even the original host. So if you transmigrated, what was your past life like? I was probably a very happy person. Loving parents, and an only child with loving parents. Being an only child, doing whatever I wanted. My parents passed away suddenly, but I studied what I loved, never lacked food or money, and lived quite well. If I transmigrated, the cause of death was probably getting stabbed by a thug while trying to save someone. A really unlucky way to die. That is indeed very unlucky. So think twice. Even with good intentions, act within your limits. Right, absolutely. That is so incredibly important, is incredibly important. We did not bring up the topic again. After breakfast, Bai Ningbing went out, and I stayed in my room writing. Since she was not coming back for lunch, I happily ordered takeout, ate, and quickly cleaned up to throw out the trash. In the afternoon, I shipped out the items I had sold, then went out to buy groceries. Walking through the supermarket, I realized my life now was not very different from my past life. Just then an older lady spoke to me. Hey, aren't you that young man who was harassed by that awful woman last time? Out buying groceries too? Oh, it is you. Yes, I am getting some ingredients for dinner. Great, great. Young people who can cook are rare nowadays. Your wife is so lucky to have married you. No, she is busy with work all day, so I do more housework. Meeting her is my true blessing. As long as people are grateful, life will not be bad. Young man, it is rare for someone so young to think like this. If your wife is just as grateful as you, your future together will only get better. I smiled, turning back to select a couple of suitable cauliflowers, and was about to check the tomatoes when Bai Ningbing suddenly appeared. Why are you here? Got back early and decided to grab some happened to see you. I am fine, only 4 items. Not heavy. It is fine, go ahead and get your things. Those tomatoes look good. I want to make sweet and sour ribs. Bai Ningbing quite liked sour food. We bought various ingredients, plenty of snacks, some A4 paper, and then went to check out together. Oh, young man, we meet again. This gorgeous lady must be your wife, right? Yes, indeed, this is my wife, I smiled proudly. My goodness, I have never seen such a stunningly beautiful young lady in my life. She looks better than a movie star. No wonder you won't get a divorce. The girl who pestered you before doesn't compare to your wife. Zero class and looks. I don't know how she had the nerve to show her face, I gasped, my heart jumping into my throat. As Bai Ningbing shot me a knowing look, I offered an awkward smile. Comparing them is crazy, I'd never deal with her again. She's up to no good, but I'm not that naive anymore. The cashier swiped my card and handed it back. Here is your card, sir. I thanked her, said goodbye, and hurried out with Bai Ningbing. Once outside, I cleared my throat. So, you probably know I had an ex named Lu Ruyan. Back in college, I was naive and fell for a toxic girl like her, but I completely cut ties after we married. The other day, she cornered me right outside the store. I knew she was trouble, so I shut her down instantly when she tried to drag me away. That cashier was one of the locals who helped chew her out. I heard she's incredibly petty, she noted. Oh, absolutely. She used to put on this massive elite act. Back then, I actually fell for it and thought she was an amazing senior. I even felt insecure around her. Turns out she was just using me while crushing on my classmate. It still makes me boil. I loathe players. I'm keeping my distance. Just stay away from her, she said. Definitely, she's a waste of breath. Back home, I started cooking. Bai Ningbing walked in and asked if I needed help. I jumped, waving my hands. I've got this. You're busy, go do your work and I'll call you when it's ready. She nodded and left. I finished cooking in my apron, set the table and knocked on her door. Bai Ningbing clicked her mouse, closed her screen and came to the table. We usually eat in silence, and I rarely initiate chat, but today she spoke up first. Someone's installing a dishwasher tomorrow. My hand froze. You bought one? I thought I was choosing it. You said you have decision anxiety. I chose for you. Just use it. I sighed. I'll make sure to stay home tomorrow then. Just as we went back to eating, my phone rang. I answered, puzzled why Bai Ningbing wanted me to meet Song Jinyan. Xiao Yu, don't shut the world out just because things got rough. Not everyone is waiting to mock you. Even if I can't solve your problems, we can still talk. You've bottled this up for too long. Why keep suffering alone? He always acted like a wise older brother to my past self, which is why I used to obey him blindly. Because of that history, he probably thought my coldness was just me acting proud. Fine, since you insist, let's meet. Seeing Bai Ningbing nod, I locked in the appointment. He sounded thrilled on the other end, and we hung up shortly after. Why did you want me to see him? I asked. Bai Ningbing set down her chopsticks. He never acts without a motive. Initially, he used you to dig up intel on me. Now that you're supposedly useless, he's back. He must have found a new way to exploit you. If you refuse, he'll just try another scheme. I got it instantly. If we can't avoid him, we might as well control the meeting. Bai Ningbing added, always keep some leverage in your hands. It's better than having zero control. Knowing he's dirty lets you prepare, rather than getting stabbed in the back. I nodded. The logic made sense even if it was overwhelming. My old life never required this much plotting. I still hadn't adjusted to this high-stakes world, but was this normally quiet lady actually giving me a survival lesson? She picked up her chopsticks and ate gracefully. She didn't seem bothered by the plots against her, and, make no mistake, they were targeting her. Personally, I had no value to exploit. The only real prize here was my wealthy wife Bai Ningbing. Her sole instruction for my meeting with Song Jinyan was to play dumb, avoid secrets and report back. I committed it to memory. He'd invited me to a luxury cafe downtown. I looked it up online. The cheapest drink was over $30. Talk about fancy. When the day came, I dressed to impress. Even if he mocked me later, at least I wouldn't look like a slob. Still, I never expected his very first words to be a jab. Xiao Yu, I know you're hurting. You've always been proud, but why pretend around me? I won't judge you. If I didn't know his true colors, I'd almost believe him. He put on a masterclass in fake concern. You're hilarious, young Master Song, I replied. No matter how tight cash gets, a man can't slack on his style. With my looks, going unstyled is a crime against nature. We're only young once. Leaving this face unpolished would be disrespecting the universe's hard work. Since he handed me the weapon, I wasn't about to play nice. I aimed right for his ego. He forced a smile. Right, you're the prettiest. Come on, let's get some tea and talk. I can at least be a shoulder to cry on. Venting always helps. Smiling, he patted my shoulder, as the waiter led us to a premium private room with a view. I was genuinely impressed. Rich people's spots hit different. This massive master-designed courtyard completely blew ordinary tea shops out of the water. Song Jinyan noticed my staring and probably assumed I was mourning my lost wealth. He sneered internally but offered a gentle, "What's your poison, Xiao Yu?" My eyes lit up, and I ordered everything, including all the signature items I'd searched up. Can you actually finish all that? He asked. I knew he thought I'd lost my dignity, acting starved. But I didn't care. I'll just get a doggy bag. Easy. Leftovers? You're actually packing up scraps? Are you that desperate? Duh, wasting food is a sin. I'm not a rich boy anymore. I've gotta save money. Plus, frugality is a virtue. Why the shock, young Master Song? Got a problem with traditional values? He opened his mouth, speechless, and muttered, "No, you're right. Good for you." Exactly. Used to be so wasteful, buying luxury junk I never even used. If I'd spent that time on better things, it would have been amazing. Why was I so blind to people in need? Donating to poor kids is way better than hoarding brand-name junk in my closet. Speaking of which, you're so noble, you must have donated tons, right? He loved playing the saint but actually helping people. Pure fantasy. He was way too selfish. He hated spending money on anyone but himself. Yet he managed a warm smile. Of course. My parents raised me to always help out and share with others. He thought I wanted to talk about philanthropy. But I immediately pivoted. Since you're so incredibly generous to strangers, and we've been close friends for so long, surely you'd help a broke friend like me in my time of need? He froze. He never expected someone as prideful as me to beg so shamelessly. You have no idea how hard things are. I can't afford clothes or watches. My wife is icy and everyone ghosted me. His face started to twist. I slid over, grabbed his hand in a death grip, and wouldn't let go. Bro, you're my only real friend left. You're usually loaded, so please save me. 200 grand is pocket change to you. Surely you won't cheap out on your best bro, right? I squeezed his hand, looking desperate, and dropped another bomb. Come to think of it, maybe I should reach out to some of my wealthy female friends. That hit him right where it hurt. He looked like he'd throw up. On the surface he plays the noble gentleman, but behind closed doors everyone knows his dirty secrets. His reputation is ruined beyond repair. To fix it, his family told him to lie low and fade from memory. This is exactly why he approached me. Was to pull off something big, just to show off his skills to the woman he's pursuing. Xiao Yu, what nonsense are you saying? We're so close. How could I watch you suffer and do nothing? Didn't I come find you the moment I got back? You know me, I'm too soft-hearted. It hurts to see a stranger suffer, let alone you. Rest assured, in my hands I don't have crazy money, but 80 to 100,000 is easy. I'll transfer it soon. Use it for your emergency. Don't be polite.
Sure.
So what did you do after Miss Bai went bankrupt? How would I know? You know me. My college major had nothing to do with business. Even if she explained everything, I wouldn't get it. Honestly, as long as we have food, I'm good. She's always busy anyway, and I never ask. So I don't ask. I actually thought about divorce, but she said she has no debts, so we just kept going. I heard Lu Ruyan looked for you? Yeah, but she's trash. No matter how useless I am, I can't let her look down on me. I put on a show of loyalty to Ningbing just to spite her. She couldn't beat Ningbing back then, and she still can't beat me now. I'm no big shot, but Ningbing treats me well despite everything, which shows she's a decent person. I would definitely trust someone with high integrity over a piece of trash. But maybe Miss Lu only realized she truly loved you after she lost you. You've never suffered. How long can you survive this kind of life? Actually, it's not that bad. When we had money, there was endless drama, and my head was constantly filled with all sorts of messy thoughts I could only escape by shopping. Now, it's quiet, I can do whatever I want. It's not like I can't handle a simple life. I lived like this for college anyway. So this is great. I have nothing to complain about, except I need to figure out how to earn some money. You're going to work? No way. What can you even do? Just imagine working a retail counter or supermarket register and bumping into old friends. Good jobs are hard to find. You'll only get low-skilled labor. Can you handle that? What's so hard? No matter what, I graduated from a top university. I've never worked, but I can learn. I have the basic skills. Like my English or professional skills, I'm totally fine. Song Jinyan finally recalled that I actually got into that top school on my own merit, long before meeting Ningbing and Ruyan. Unlike him, who failed school and needed family money to study abroad just for a vanity degree, his mood soured instantly, but he refused to back down. Sure, a degree is important, but experience matters too. Starting now, you can't compete with fresh graduates. It won't be easy. I'll just try. Getting into a top school was hard. A simple job can't be tougher than the college entrance exam. Oh, look at me bringing this up in front of you. It's fine, young Master Song, don't worry about it. You don't need to work anyway. I really envy how you rely on your family now and your wife later, just coasting through life. So lucky. In other words, he's totally useless and completely dependent on others. This hit a nerve. Song Jinyan barely kept his face from twisting, cursing silently at my sharp tongue. I, on the other hand, was thrilled. We traded barbs back and forth, both of us fully aware of the game yet maintaining a polite facade while taking jabs. The difference was his insults didn't bother me at all, whereas every single one of my shots hit his sorest spots. By the time we parted ways, I was absolutely rejoicing, while Song Jinyan was about to explode. Before leaving, I didn't forget to remind him to pay up. Eager to invite me out again later to gloat and pry for info, he nodded and reluctantly transferred 100,000 yuan. I headed home feeling incredibly happy. When I walked in, Bai Ningbing was on the couch looking at her laptop. She looked up at the sound of the door while I changed, put away my clothes, and washed up, all with a massive grin on my face. My mood was clearly fantastic. I'm back. I made a free 100,000 yuan today. Aren't I amazing? I waved my phone in the air, grinning. My voice carried undeniable smugness. A free 100,000 from Song? Yep. He tried to gloat and pry for details, so I shut him down, played poor, and put him on a pedestal so he couldn't back out. I basically hinted that if he didn't pitch in, I'd tell everyone he has no heart. To save face, he had to bleed some cash. Ningfeng silently recalled how the old me used to spend wildly on bags, yet here I was, thrilled over 100,000. A strange feeling washed over her. Free money is free money, and squeezing it out of him is no easy feat. Come on, open your Alipay, I'll transfer it to you. Think of it as him paying back his old debts. Take it and spend it. Don't worry about our budget. Ningbing found it novel to see me acting so generous. Is there anything you need me to do? Nope, at home we have everything we need, and nothing is broken. She didn't mean that, but seeing my face, she knew we weren't on the same page. She actually pulled out her phone, opened a lead, and held it out. Very naturally, I sent the freshly received cash directly to her account, as if it was the most natural thing ever. I don't mind giving you free money. It was yours anyway. Back when we treated young Master Song, wasn't that all your money? Now we're broke, so he's just paying you back. I love money, but I prefer earning my own. I'm actually thinking writing royalties now. I won't let you starve. We might not eat gourmet feasts, but simple home-cooked meals are guaranteed. Well, thank you. Don't mention it. You treated me well before. Oh, I brought some takeout back totally untouched. Want some? Although she grew up incredibly wealthy, Ningbing was never one to be wasteful. Outside of business events where she had to look wealthy, she ate normal meals at home just made by a good cook. She'd eaten takeout during school anyway. Sure, she said. I didn't expect her to actually eat what I brought back, thinking a wealthy heiress wouldn't touch leftovers. Wait, I just realized I only packed desserts. Is that okay? What's wrong with that? I walked over to the door to grab the bag. Inside were indeed pastries and sweets. Ningbing naturally picked up a piece, popped it into her mouth and swallowed. This probably tastes better when it's fresh and warm. You've had it before? She glanced at me, slowly pulling out a tissue to wipe her hands. Grandpa used to love it. Ah, the old patriarch loved it, so she used to buy it for him. I suddenly realized that bringing this up would only make her miss him and feel sad. I felt an instant wave of awkward guilt. No need to apologize. The past has nothing to do with the present. Well, what do you want for dinner? I'll make it. I still felt terrible. She had taken such good care of the old me, and never made my life hard after my rebirth. Poking at her wounds while her business was struggling was just cruel of me. Anything is fine. I actually have some errands to run soon. I'll be back quite late. Sure, go ahead. I'll wait up for dinner. She glanced at me, seemingly wanting to tell me not to wait, but seeing my guilty look she held back and simply said, okay. Once she left, I cleaned the house, wrote for a bit, and then bought some groceries. Around 8 the door opened. Looking up from my laptop I saw Ningbing walk in. Saving my document I said, you're back. The food should still be warm. Are you hungry? She took off her coat and hung it up. The chill she brought from outside melted away in the cozy room. Glancing over she saw dishes neatly laid out on the table all covered up. She changed her shoes and walked in. You waited all this time? You must be starving. I'll just wash my hands. I'm fine, not really hungry. I won't always make it back, so just eat without me next time. Sure. I also figured someone like her wouldn't have a regular 9 to 5 schedule to eat dinner on time. If she didn't come back, I could actually relax and just eat whatever. But out of guilt, I had made an incredibly lavish dinner. I even went through the trouble of steaming buns from scratch. They were cute and tiny flour rolls, sweet-filled buns, sweet potato rolls. You could devour one in 2 bites. Ningbing picked up a flour roll and finished it in a few bites. These are really good, she said. Right? I spent 3 or 4 whole days researching how to get them perfect, figuring out the exact ratios and timing to make them turn out like this. My favorites are the flour rolls and sweet ones. My friends loved them too. Whenever we had free time I froze. In my excitement, I almost slipped up. Your skills are impressive. You mean college friends? Yeah, college friends. We lost touch later. I haven't made these in ages. Glad I haven't lost my touch. Thank goodness she didn't dig deeper, or I would have raised suspicions instantly. I quietly celebrated, not noticing the amused look on her face. Oh, by the way, I simmered this chicken soup for a long time. Drink up. Okay, my soup is always a hit. Store-bought stuff lacks depth, but mine has the perfect rich balance of flavors. She knew it wasn't about the taste, but the feeling of someone taking the time to cook for him. Growing up, her mother loved making chicken soup. It tastes awful, but she always claimed it was good for kids, so her father forced her to gulp it down. After her parents died in that tragic accident, she tried all kinds of chicken soup. The family chefs and even the maids spent years trying to recreate that recipe, but nobody could ever duplicate it. As she grew older, she stopped asking for it, and everyone forgot. She realized her soft spot for the man before her now was partly due to those faint nostalgic memories. She occasionally showed a warmth that felt like home. Why are you looking at me? Is there something on my face? I asked, noticing her starings. Didn't she know her intense gaze could be incredibly intimidating? Or was she sensing something off again? You look like you have dark circles under your eyes, she said. What? I quickly stood to check the mirror. Sure enough, I saw faint shadows. Was I starting to look sleep-deprived? I shuddered. She had just made a passing remark and hadn't expected such a dramatic reaction. When I didn't come out, she called out, "Is everything okay? Aren't you eating?" Right then I crept out sheepishly, probably due to my recent late nights. Writing these novels is keeping you up, but don't worry, you still look incredibly handsome. Hearing her praise me so out of the blue made my cheeks burn with embarrassment. After we finished eating, I got up to clear the table, but she stopped me. I'll get it today. No, I've got it, I insisted, taking the dishes from her hands and rushing to the kitchen. She chuckled softly and let me have my way. But as I passed the living room, she noticed my laptop open on the coffee table. On a whim, she strolled over to see what I was writing. When I finished in the kitchen and walked out, I froze in absolute shock. She was sitting gracefully on the sofa, propping up her chin, reading my draft with intense focus. Don't read that. I practically lunged forward, terrified she'd find it bizarre. Why not? She asked. It's just trash, I mumbled. All right, I won't then, she agreed. As I secretly wondered if I had been too dramatic, she paused at her bedroom door. Honestly, she remarked, the female lead constantly abandoning her company for the male lead feels unrealistic. If she is indeed the president of a major firm, she wouldn't have that much free time. With that, she went into her bedroom and closed the door, leaving me sitting where she had just been, totally speechless. Miss Bai had read at least 2 chapters, and the absolute worst ones too. Having my writing roasted didn't even make me mad. I just wanted to explain to her that this was a romance novel where fantasy trumps reality. If I wrote a realistic corporate story, it would be full of boring details, and nobody would read it. But she didn't get web fiction, so I dropped it. A few mornings later, before she had even left after breakfast, a loud knock rattled the front door. Having just finished the dishes, I went to open it. Who is it? I wondered. No one answered, just more knocking. Peering through the peephole, I saw 2 young women outside. Both were exceptionally stylish and stunning, looking like actual movie stars. They definitely didn't look like ordinary people. My heart sank. Turning around, I quickly knocked on her bedroom door. Someone's at the door, I think they're here for you. She let go of her mouse and came out, immediately noticing the anxiety written all over my face. Could you check? I don't recognize them at all. What I didn't confess was my fear that they were troublemakers. My mind raced, panicking over what to do if things turned ugly. Outside, the knocking abruptly stopped. Song Qianwan turned to Wu Wanning. Are you sure this is the place? Why isn't anyone answering? Did she go out? I thought she hadn't divorced that goo guy yet. Is he gone too? How should I know? Wu Wanning grumbled. I told you we shouldn't have come. She's busy and it's not like you're injured. She's in no rush to see you. But I need to see her. It's been a whole year and she's had so much bad luck lately. How can I rest easy without seeing her myself? She pouted, stubbornly pounding on the wood this time. Suddenly, the door swung open. What are you 2 doing here? Come in, she said. Second sister, I missed you so much. I'm finally back. Song Qianwan squealed, throwing her arms around Bai Ningbing before stepping back. It's good to have you back, Wu Wanning teased. Clearly only second sister matters to you. The rest of us are just afterthoughts. Come on in, Bai Ningbing urged. I stood behind them, completely stunned. Second sister? Could these 2 be her wealthy best friends? Song Qianwan happily bounded inside, only to stop dead in her tracks when she saw my bewildered face. She pointed a finger at me. Wait, why is there a man here? Oh, you're Gu Xiaoyu. What are you doing here? Why wouldn't I be here? Second sister, you didn't divorce him and now you're living together? If we don't live here, should we sleep on the streets? Why are you always so loud? They aren't divorced, so of course they live together. Come sit down. Song Qianwan wanted to argue, but she couldn't bring herself to smile at me, so she just ignored my existence. She bypassed me to sit on the couch. Wu Wanning gave me a polite nod and followed. Since we had guests, I went to fetch some tea. Returning, I saw them sitting in a tense silence, the sisters staring intently at Bai Ningbing. The suffocating awkwardness made me want to vanish. I have some errands to run, so I'll leave you to chat, I announced. I won't be home for lunch. All right, she replied. I rushed to grab my coat, packed my things and bolted out the door. The moment I stepped outside and clicked the door shut, Songshun stared at Bai Ningbing in absolute shock. Eating at home? She sputtered, her expression a mix of disbelief and horror. Second sister, did you just call this place home? Bai Ningbing paused, momentarily caught off guard, before quickly regaining her calm. We've been eating here lately, he's actually a decent cook. Are you serious, second sister? You're actually staying with him? Aside from his handsome face, he has absolutely nothing to offer, and it's not like we lack handsome men in our circle. I refuse to believe you fell for him just for his looks. You would have done that years ago. Honestly, of all the good-looking guys I've seen over the years, I've never met one better than him, Wu Wanning interjected. Besides, people change. You didn't know him before you went abroad, and you haven't even spoken to him since you got back. How can you judge him so confidently? Do you think second sister is a fool? There has to be a reason she keeps him around. Remember, to the public she is completely broke right now. Yet under these circumstances he hasn't packed his bags and left. When Wu Wanning researched him for Bai Ningbing, she had reached a bizarre conclusion. She suspected her sister kept him close to keep an eye on him. After all, an open enemy is easy to dodge, but a hidden threat is far more dangerous. But before Song Chanwan could even nod in agreement, Bai Ningbing shocked them both with her sudden confession. It is not as complicated as you think. He has changed. He is actually quite pleasant to be around now. He only lives here because he has nowhere else to go. He works, cooks and lives a simple life now. But why won't he divorce you then? His personal growth shouldn't stop him from signing the papers. Why does he insist on staying? There are other reasons, none of which you need to know. Just treat him with respect from now on. He is not as terrible as you think. Song Qianwan opened her mouth to argue, but Wu Wanning quickly cut her off. Second sister has her own plans, so we don't need to worry. Since he isn't the deadbeat we imagined, we will treat him with respect. Little 5, I know you're protective of her, but you need to calm down. Stop overreacting whenever it involves second sister. If you keep copying little 6, you'll lose your mind too. I am nothing like her. How can you compare me to that little idiot? Honestly, you're starting to sound exactly like her. We told her not to crash the banquet, but she ran over anyway and nearly caused a scene. You two are cut from the exact same cloth. That's not fair. I just got back and didn't know what was happening. Besides, you never explain things fully. You always leave me in the dark. Song Qianwan glared at Wu Wanning, who merely chuckled in response. Let's drop it. Now that you're back, do you finally plan to join the family business? I really don't want to. But my old man is forcing me. You both know I couldn't care less about the automotive industry. You might not care, but you are a natural. You were already spotting flaws in his car designs back in high school. Do you really think he'd let you go? He probably wakes up laughing every night knowing he raised a daughter destined to run his empire. Oh, spare me please. If I knew he was that devious, I would have kept my mouth shut. I would have never fallen into his trap. My peaceful vacation is officially over and my beloved food startup is being hijacked by my own father. What infuriates me most is that the old man hid his inner foodie for years. It's terrifying how long he kept that a secret. Having family push you forward is a blessing, you know, Wu Wanning noted. Your father cares deeply about your future, you should cherish it. Some of us never had that kind of guidance. Exactly. Second sister has the refined palate of a classical scholar, while you down every tea like water just to get it over with. Hey, at least I get straight to the point, Song Qianwan laughed. There is nothing wrong with being direct. She didn't mind the teasing at all, so what if I'm uncultured? It's no big deal. I was never as refined as second sister anyway. But seriously, what is your next move? I refuse to believe your stepfather's son can get away with this. Unbelievable. How can anyone predict the future and always beat us to the punch? Second sister, are you sure there is no mole? Bai Ningbing's smile instantly faded. She murmured, I honestly don't know where the leak is. I told nobody about my plans yet they still found out. A mere mole cannot explain this. As she spoke, Song Qingwan and Wu Wanning listened intently. Should I double check your things? Let me check your personal belongings. Maybe there is some advanced spy tech I missed. I doubt it. I tried moving to a new place without carrying anything, even changing my clothes, but nothing changed. Does he really have superpowers? Is even our eldest sister powerless against him? We tried to once join forces to shut him down, but whether we set traps or confronted him head on, he dodged every single blow. Somehow he allied with the Wen family, and Elder Wen himself stepped in to mediate, which was basically a warning. Elder Wen, no way. Didn't he retire years ago? And stop meddling in these petty deeds. This G guy is absolutely disgusting. If he wants to fight, why bring in outside backup? What does he think this is, a playground scuffle? Damn it, why would Elder Wen back him? I never knew the old man was so charitable. Word is his wife saved Elder Wen's life by chance and she really hit it off with him. But why target second sister? She has so many businesses. Even if he focuses entirely on construction, it shouldn't clash with her other industries. Watching her sister's grim faces, Bai Ningbing suddenly chuckled. Come on, things are much better now, don't worry. Since I am completely broke, I can find out if he is targeting me specifically, or if he is just trying to seize my assets for his own growth. Then second sister, do you plan to focus solely on tech? That sector requires massive investment and returns could take ages. Tech is the future. I wanted to restructure and upgrade anyway. Before I had to carry those parasites from the Bai family now. Without that burden I feel lighter. True, it is like shedding a massive weight. Still the financial hit was real. Once I take over our family business, I will help you take him down. I refuse to believe he can anticipate everything. Don't cause trouble. Just learning the ropes will take ages. By then, second sister will already be back on her feet. Just mind your own business. She is far more capable than you, and we always have her back anyway. We finally get a chance to rest, so why the rush? Second sister, how are you so calm? When has she ever panicked? Truth, I've never seen her stress out. Fine, call if you need me. They chatted a bit more, then went out. When I returned that afternoon, the house was empty. I sighed with relief. Her wealthy friends had intimidating auras and clearly detested me. I had claimed I had errands, but I just wanted an excuse to escape. With nowhere to go, I hit an internet cafe. A pretty gamer next to me kept staring, losing her matches repeatedly. Just as she was about to strike up a conversation, I switched computers. Unbelievably, the girl next to my new station also tried flirting, asking why I was writing there. I felt totally exhausted. Back home I finally relaxed. I changed, stretched, and collapsed onto the sofa. Deciding on a shower, I checked my phone. Bai Ningbing's message confirmed she would be back late. I dashed to the bathroom. After a refreshing hot shower, I dried my hair, brewed some lemon tea, grabbed my snacks and curled up on the couch. Deciding to put off writing, I opened my laptop. I put on a movie I had been meaning to watch and settled in. I happily munched on snacks and sipped my tea. Honestly, nothing beats having zero responsibilities after a hot shower. Just eating snacks and watching movies. Since arriving in this world, this was my first taste of pure bliss. I was completely glued to the screen when, right as a door opened in the movie, a very real jarring creak echoed from my front door. It totally ruined the vibe. Suddenly Bai Ningbing's voice cut through the air. Did you skip lunch? I jumped, dropping my chips onto my lap. I looked up to see her frowning. She stood there, tall and elegant, head tilted, staring right at me. Or rather, she was staring at my empty hands, looking completely baffled. I stared back like a startled little animal frozen in place, kinda like a koala. You weren't you supposed to be back really late? I stammered, my embarrassment on full display. My voice carried a hint of accusation. Slipping into her house shoes, she looked away. I finished early. Wanting wanted to visit her office, but Elder Song summoned her back, so she had to leave. The office isn't going anywhere, so there is no rush. Anyway, did you skip lunch? I quietly pinched the corner of my chip bag, trying to slide it out of her sight. I smiled warmly. Oh, I ate, just relaxing with a movie and some snacks. I swept the bag under the table and slipped it into the trash. Apparently she never touched junk food. Eating snacks in front of her felt incredibly low class. That is junk food. Eat less of it, she warned. Right, of course, only once in a while. So, are you eating at home tonight? Her eyes softened for a brief second. Inside I groaned. I was planning to order takeout, but now I had to cook. My movie night was ruined. Life's emotional roller coasters always strike when you least expect it. Is something wrong? She asked, turning around with a glass of water. I realized I probably looked like a kicked puppy. Nothing. What would you like tonight? Anything is fine, you decide. I will make meatball soup then. I have leftover soy pulp from this morning. I planned on saving them, but since you are for back, let's eat tonight. Sounds good. Go on, I'll call you when it's ready. Once she went inside, I caught my reflection in the screen. I had been so busy hiding the snacks that I forgot to brush my hair. No wonder she was staring at me like that. I scrambled off the couch and dashed into the bathroom, frantically brushing my hair. I cursed myself. Why did I get so comfortable? Ever heard of Murphy's Law? Now I've completely embarrassed myself in front of her. Comparing my messy self to her flawless elegance makes me want to bang my head. I don't usually care about looks, but somehow standing next to her without looking immaculate instantly makes you feel like a total slob. I bet that is why she is so disliked. She always deals with powerful, wealthy people and rich heirs. They love looking down on regular folks, but her sheer class completely overshadows them. It must be frustrating. No wonder the original host never even dreamed of pursuing her. He simply lacked the courage. Now I have to cook for this gorgeous goddess. Muster up my brave face, ignore her charm and eat with her. But frying meatballs makes everything smell like grease. I focused on the sizzling oil, swiftly shaping the mixture and dropping them in. Soon the kitchen smelled amazing. An hour later, Bai Ningbing walked out. Smelling the delicious aroma, she followed the soft humming straight to the kitchen. There she saw me, looking completely focused and effortlessly shaping the food while happily singing to myself. I scooped out the golden crispy spheres one by one. Alright, one little cutie is done, who is next? You guys are going to taste incredible in this soup. I promise your sacrifice won't be in vain. Bai Ningbing had never seen anyone have so much fun cooking. Intrigued, she leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, waiting to see what I'd do. I scooped out the last few, then turned to chop the vegetables, still talking to them. You veggies are gorgeous too. I will treat you right and make you float beautifully in the broth. Your life be in vain. I was lost in my own world, brainstorming plot ideas. When I spun around and saw her, startled, I stumbled back, slipped, and started falling. She quickly reached out to catch me, but I had already grabbed the sink to steady myself. Still, her hand landed on my waist, the warmth sending a sudden shiver down my spine. I gasped, "Why are you creeping around? You scared me to death. Do you need something?" "No, just getting water." I heard noise. "Oh, just humming, so cooking isn't totally boring. The meatballs are ready. Hey, do you want to try one, Binding?" I hesitated for less than a second. Oh wait, I forgot. Even though these taste amazing, they aren't exactly healthy. If you're not starving, maybe wait a bit. But Binding Bing didn't really get that. To her, they were just a bit oily, not actually for you. She stepped closer. "How do you eat them?" I froze, realizing she actually wanted to try one, and instinctively offered the chopsticks in my hand. She took them, glanced down, and realized they were already used. She froze. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Nothing," she said, handing them back. While I stood there totally confused, she simply reached out, pinched a meatball with her finger, and popped it into her mouth. I stared in utter shock. The rich young lady actually ate with her bare hands. Taking a bite of the steaming hot meatball, the rich bean and oil aroma filled her mouth. She gasped from the sudden heat. But it was clearly delicious. We were standing so close and she finished the whole thing right in front of me. She stepped back slightly, noticed me staring blankly out of the corner of her eye, and turned her head. "What?" she asked. Startled again, I took a step back. Luckily I didn't slip this time, but my back bumped straight into the wall. "Nothing. Are they good?" "I'm not bad," she replied. "If you are done, you should go. The kitchen is too smoky. The meatballs are done, and making the soup is easy. It should be ready soon. Go on, go on. I will call you when it's done." After struggling to finish the soup, my previous excitement was completely gone. She could clearly sense my gloomy mood. Feeling a bit down, I scooped her a bowl packed with ingredients, while pouring myself a watery broth. "Didn't you fry a lot of meatballs?" she asked. "Why didn't you make more? Is that not enough for you?" I looked at her overflowing bowl. Based on her usual appetite, it should have been plenty. Was she starving today? She pointed a slender finger at my bowl. "Look at yours." "Oh, I smelled too much cooking oil, so I'm not hungry." I would never admit I weighed myself before dinner, and gained 2 pounds. She didn't say anything. But as I ate, I kept staring blankly at her bowl, my eyes screaming how much I wanted to eat. Connecting that with my habit of weighing myself before meals, she suddenly realized what was happening. "You ate too many snacks today." It wasn't a question but a flat statement. It felt like a knife straight to my chest. "No, I didn't." She didn't reply, just giving me a knowing look. "Fine, I had some snacks, but I only had a bowl of jelly, a box of cookies, a small bag of popcorn, and half a bag of chips." Saying it out loud, it did sound like a lot, but surely all that junk food didn't weigh 2 pounds. Snacks are full of additives. You should eat less of them. If you want real food, we can go out. I'll figure out the money. I never expected her to say that. My rising anger vanished instantly. Her expression remained completely calm, but her concern was genuine. The young heiress was actually a really good person, and she was only looking out for me. "I get it. I'll try to cut back on snacks." She didn't press further, and I quietly finished my meal. After washing the dishes, I sat down for my daily writing session. To my surprise, she didn't ignore me this time. Instead, she came out of her bedroom and sat right next to me. "I spoke to my friends today. They won't treat you like that anymore. Their past misunderstandings about you have been cleared up. If they visit again, you don't need to leave the apartment." "You mean your best friends?" She nodded. "It's fine, really. It doesn't matter whether they misunderstand me or not. They are your friends, not mine, so I honestly don't mind. Besides, it makes sense they don't like me. I'm clearly not in their league. As long as we stay out of each other's way, we are fine. When they visit, me being away makes things easier anyway. Plus, I actually had things to do today." "Alright. Are you going to keep writing your novel?" "Yeah." "Are you done with your movie?" "Almost. I'll watch the rest later. If you don't want me to hear, you can get headphones." I pulled my hand back from my mug and gave a stiff laugh. "Why would I care if you know? Just because you're incredibly smart and highly educated, you think you're a big deal?" She didn't argue, but picked up my mug and handed it to me. "If you want to write a good story, just watching movies isn't enough. You have to lies them. I don't mind the noise, so you can watch whatever." "Got it." She got up and headed back to her room. I took a sip and set my mug down. I still didn't resume the movie. If I didn't write, how was I going to make money? Over the next few days, she continued to leave early and return late. Our daily routine shifted to just eating breakfast and dinner together, then doing our own thing. One afternoon, she came home early. I was busy writing, so I didn't even look up when the door opened. "You're back," I said out of habit. Suddenly, a familiar child's voice piped up, filled with pure shock and disgust. "Why is he still here? Aren't you guys divorced yet?" It was her cousin's son. Her cousin and his wife had passed away in an accident. Since they were closest to her, she had adopted the boy after their deaths. The little guy's name was Baitsa. He was 8 years old and absolutely despised my body's original owner. Honestly, it wasn't entirely his fault. The guy before me never liked kids and had never given him a single smile since the boy entered his life. Even worse, during one school break, the kid was starving while the chef was out sick. He begged for food, but the original owner was too busy meeting up with fake friends. Without looking, he ordered extremely spicy food the kid couldn't eat, making the poor boy sick for days. Because of that, she cut off a huge chunk of his allowance, making them hate each other even more. That went on until I transmigrated here. Personally, I like kids, but young Baitsa definitely didn't like me. His attitude just now made that crystal clear. We are not divorced, so it's completely normal for him to be here, she said. In fact, you'll be living with him from now on. He holds your food supply. What? Auntie, you're kidding, right? Before, whenever he showed his dislike for me in front of her, she never corrected him. As long as he didn't cross the line, she stayed out of it. Why was this time different? Auntie, is what they said actually true? Did you really go bankrupt and lose all your money? Is that why you have to put up with this man? I kept quiet, highly curious about how she would respond. She calmly flicked the little boy's forehead. Watch your tongue, kid. Just because you're a child doesn't mean you can say whatever you want. I am indeed bankrupt and broke, so you have no choice. He stared at her with wide eyes and a gaping mouth for 3 seconds, then shook his head wildly. No way. My dad always said you're the smartest person ever. How could someone so amazing go bankrupt? Your business was absolutely massive. How could it vanish overnight? Oh my god, I'm not even grown up yet. How am I supposed to support the family? I'm still a baby. Am I really supposed to carry the weight of this family? What can I even do? I'm only in 3rd grade. Hey, how about you let me be a child model? I've practiced runway walks and I'm super handsome. Surely someone would hire me. Not a chance, she replied. You have zero background now. How do you think those other kids get modeling gigs? It's not just about looks, it's about family status. And right now you have none. You are lying, Auntie. You must know so many people. You helped so many of them before, why can't they help you back? Then you need to learn a lesson. It's easy to celebrate success, but hard to find help in a crisis. When you help others, never expect them to return the favor. You're lucky if they don't kick you while you're down. He followed her into the bathroom, his voice echoing out. So what do we do? Do we have to live here forever? No more delicious food? No more beautiful clothes? The kids at school told me I'd probably have to transfer soon. Is that true? Yes, from now on you'll live here with me during school breaks. The food and clothes you used to have are gone. As for transferring, that won't happen. Do you want to transfer? She asked. Yes, my classmates are all laughing at me. They think I don't know, but I hear everything. Well, you aren't transferring. I've already paid your tuition for another semester. She led the boy back to the living room and sat on the couch. I couldn't pretend to be writing anymore. I quietly grabbed some oranges and placed them on the table in front of them. We don't have other fruit, so these will have to do. But they're all saying, I'm annoying. When you lack strength, being talked about or laughed at is completely normal, she said. But even if you become highly successful and hold a position of power in the future, people will still talk. In fact, it will be worse. But if you are powerful enough, they'll avoid saying it to your face. She peeled an orange for him, and as he reached for it, she nudged him slightly toward me. You haven't greeted him yet. The boy looked over at me as I turned to look back at him. He opened his mouth, then hesitated before asking her, so what am I supposed to call him? You can just call me Xiao Yu, I offered. Okay, Xiao Yu. Are you on school break now? I asked. What do you want to eat? I'll cook for you. You can cook? Then why didn't you do it before? He stared at me with wide, cute eyes. But his question was incredibly sharp. We had a chef back then. You talk as if you're some amazing master chef. Just some rice and a few simple side dishes will do. Still, I decided to make an effort. While cooking, I spent extra time making the food look fun and child-friendly. Personally, I really like kids. Back in the day, I always used to play with my friends' babies. I actually liked him the moment I saw him. The little guy was just so cute. If it weren't for our bad history, I probably would have hugged him already. After she took him into the bedroom, for a bit, I finished cooking and called them over. He came out in his pajamas, washed his hands, and sat down in the seat I had set up for him. When he looked at the food on the table, he looked totally shocked. Did you really make all of this? He asked, pointing at the table. The dishes were shaped like cute cartoon characters. And even his rice had a little smiley face on top. Of course, that special treatment was only for his plate. Bai Ningbing and I had normal food, while he got his own exclusive meal. First day of vacation meant VIP treatment. I'll get you some kid-sized utensils later, the big ones are hard to use. You don't need to make special food for me. I'm not a little kid anymore, so stop doing that. I eat normal food at school. I'm already in 3rd grade. Even if you were in college, you'd still be a kid to us. I decide what to make. Your only choice is whether to eat it or not. If you refuse to eat, next time I'll make your absolute least favorite thing. Since we're broke now, if you don't eat, don't expect any allowance for snacks. You'll just go hungry. How can you treat someone's good intentions like this? Yet Bai Ti politely muttered, thank you, Xiao Yu. I couldn't help but ruffle his hair. You're welcome. Kids clearly love this stuff, but they always pretend they don't. Such a little tsundere, but honestly it was adorable. You don't need to make him special meals anymore. Kids from the Bai family aren't that spoiled about food. Bai Chi nodded quickly, agreeing that he was indeed a tough kid, while shielding his head. Well, a kid being tough is his business, but an adult wanting to spoil him is ours. Could a kid really not resist this level of spoiling? But won't this make him too soft? Of course not. How could a little food make me soft? Well, then you'll just have to endure my sweet bribery. I really have no resistance when it comes to cute little kids. Now that we have one at home, I can finally try making kids meals. Thanks for your help, don't mention it. Bai Ningbing watched our interaction quietly and stopped objecting to my kids' meals. The three of us finally sat down to eat. During the meal, Bai Chi ate much faster than I remembered. It was clear he loved today's food. Afterward, I went to wash the dishes as usual. Bai Chi looked even more astonished. You actually do chores? Wow, we really must be completely broke. That's life. Ups and downs always hit you when you least expect it. So, you'd better study hard or you won't even be able to feed yourself later. I'm the top student in my grade. Our school is one of the best in the country. This semester I entered a competition. My teacher said I could win first place. Oh, and the grand prize has a lot of money. I think it's 50,000 yuan. Yeah, we'll have money for food then. Ah, rich kids have it easy. They go to elite schools, and even their elementary school competitions pay so much prize money. I can join more competitions. Before my aunt wouldn't let me because she was worried it would affect my studies, but now I probably can. If I enter 4 I might get 200,000 yuan, then we'd have money for food. Wait no, I don't have that much time. If I want to keep my grades up I can only do 3 competitions. That's only 150,000. It's not even enough for food. 150,000 isn't enough for food? Do you know how many people's monthly income is under 10,000 yuan? 150,000 is a lot. 150,000 only buys you 2 watches. Is it really that much? Think about how much those shark fins you used to eat cost. Why care about other people's income? Are we supposed to live like them? Sigh, I never knew being broke was so terrifying. It can turn a big spender into someone who actually thinks 150,000 yuan is a lot of money. How long has Aunt been broke? Well, we must adapt to our circumstances. When you have money, spend it. When you don't, of course you have to save. Even if you really make 150,000, we can't spend it all on food. Since our living standard went, the food quality has to drop too. But don't worry, even if you eat my home-cooked meals every day, you won't be malnourished. That's so depressing. Holding a glass of water, Bai Ningbing walked over with her long legs and glanced at Bai Chi. Time to do your homework, I'm going. After saying that, he turned his back to Bai Ningbing, made a shushing gesture at me and ran off. Where is he sleeping tonight? With you? Yeah. I'll look into renting a different place later. She had originally planned for Bai Chi to attend this activity during vacation, but the kid refused, so he had to come back. I carefully brought up my previous idea of buying a house. What do you think? I've sold some more watches and clothes lately, so the down payment is definitely covered. Let's see. Since the kid is staying with us during his break, we should get a 3-bedroom. I have my writing royalties now, so I can pay the mortgage. Don't worry about the money. I was so worried she'd fret over our budget and settle for a lower grade apartment. With nothing left to say, we both went back to our own tasks. Having a kid around instantly made the home feel alive, especially since Bai Chi wasn't shy at all. During the day, Bai Ningbing was busy working, leaving only Bai Chi and me at home. At first, we just minded our own business, but eventually, out of sheer boredom, he'd wander out and strike up a conversation with me. In the end, he was still a child. No matter how mature he seemed, he just couldn't help himself. Once he realized I had truly changed and was actually being nice to him, his attitude became much warmer. Why don't you divorce my aunt? She really has no money left. I mean, I find it strange too, but she's completely broke. If you stay with her, she won't be able to give you tons of cash to spend like before. Well, you just said she used to give me a lot of money to spend. So shouldn't I stand by her side and help her through this crisis? If I were to leave her now, wouldn't that make me a terrible husband? Do you really want me to walk out on your aunt and leave her to raise you alone? Then you'd have to fend for yourself without anyone to cook for you. That's not the point. I wouldn't starve. Though I honestly don't know what's gotten into you. You're actually not as bad as I thought. Honestly, I used to hate you. I thought you only knew how to spend money and nothing else. When my aunt married you, it was basically like getting a human credit card. But back then, my aunt had plenty of money, so she didn't mind. Still, it was a pity. She could have married a much better husband. Well, at least you don't seem so awful now. Before my parents passed away, they told me that when you look at a person, you shouldn't just judge by appearances. You have to look at their character and heart. You might not be very talented, but you don't run away from trouble. Your character is decent enough. I couldn't help but ruffle his hair. You're just a kid, yet you worry about so much. None of this is your concern. All you need to do is study and have fun every day. You don't need to worry about my studies. I told you I'm always first place. Don't compare me to the other kids you've seen. I'm actually a member of a high IQ club. I pulled back the tangerine I was about to hand him, popped a segment into my mouth and chewed as I watched him. Well, did I ever tell you that I also graduated from a top university? Your school was okay, I guess. It is a key national university. There was a reason why I married your aunt and acted like a mindless spender. But now I've come to my senses and returned to normal, get it? I held out the tangerine to him again, but just as he reached for it, I yanked it back, leaving him grabbing air. Are you going to give it to me or not? Pouting, he glared at me. Smiling, I finally handed it over. Here. How about wontons? For lunch? Make extra. You get. I'll make sure you're well fed, young master. I saved my file and stood up to cook. Bai Chi watched me head to the kitchen with a full of a warmth he probably didn't even recognize, a deep sense of belonging. Ever since his parents passed away, he hadn't experienced a home life so full of warmth and laughter. Before in Bindingbing's villa, he wanted for nothing, and she treated him well, but it never felt like a real home. His heart had never truly felt at peace. Now I cared for him every day in a completely natural way. When we chatted, it was as if he were talking to his own close family where he could say absolutely anything. Once again, he felt like he had a real home. He seemed to understand why his aunt wasn't as cold to me as before. Bindingbing could also sense that the kid was getting more comfortable around me, and when she asked him how things were, he'd say he was having a great time. One night at dinner I suddenly suggested, "I'm free for the next couple of days, and the kid has been cooped up inside for so long. Why don't I take him to the amusement park tomorrow?" Bindingbing's hand paused mid-air. I clearly saw Bai Chi tense up with excitement at my words. She paused to think and realized the kid had been home for 5 days straight without stepping outside. "All right, I'll adjust my work schedule for tomorrow." I opened my mouth, but in the end I didn't say a thing. Honestly, I had planned to take him out by myself, but since the young mistress wanted to join, I could hardly say no. On the bright side, Bai Chi's eyes lit up instantly, brimming with joy, and he gave me a dazzling, happy smile. "Thank you, Xiaoyu, and thank you, Auntie. If you're busy, Xiaoyu and I can go on our own." I had completely forgotten that amusement parks get incredibly packed on weekends. Honestly, I'd never been to one in my past life. It was only because the kid had been so well behaved and stuck indoors, plus a scene I read in a novel, that made me think of taking him out. Knowing his parents died when he was 6, and that Bindingbing would never think of taking him to such places, I just couldn't stop feeling terribly sorry for the little guy. The next day Bai Chi woke up incredibly early. He turned to look outside, but the sky was still dark. Glancing at his personal little alarm clock in the room, it wasn't even 6 o'clock yet. Since Bindingbing usually woke up at 6 every morning, and would wake him up right after, he lay perfectly still, not wanting to make a sound and disturb her. Honestly, he preferred staying here far more than having his own huge bedroom in the villa. For the first time, he felt so close to Bindingbing. He truly loved his aunt, but there had always been a subtle distance between them. Moving here and starting this new life sometimes gave him the beautiful illusion that he was still living with his mom and dad. He secretly loved that illusion. "Are you awake?" Startled, he jumped a little and turned to see Bindingbing already sitting up and looking at him. Although her face was still mostly expressionless, she looked much gentler than during the day, carrying a trace of morning sleepiness. "Yeah, I just woke up." He quickly got out of bed, grabbed his clothes, and started pulling them on. Bindingbing didn't offer to help at all, as kids from the Bai family were taught to be independent early on. Leaving the bedroom, they both instinctively quieted their steps and headed to the bathroom. In the mirror above the sink, the two of them looked remarkably alike, both brushing their teeth in sync with their similarly beautiful faces. "Auntie, should we go wake up Xiaoyu?" "No need, he'll get up on his own. I usually wake up at 6 too. I get up at 6 to cook." They usually head to their room. The kid told his aunt I work too hard and suggested eating out. She actually agreed. She said we aren't so broke that I must cook daily. While the kid was processing this, she grabbed his collar, hauling him back to study. I stepped out, patted over, and drew the curtains. Seeing the bright sunny sky, I stretched with a smile. Breakfast was quick, taking only half an hour. I called them for breakfast, and we prepared to leave. Looking at his tiny pack and my huge one, he asked why we needed them. "Did you forget?" I asked. "We are broke now. Park food is overpriced, so buying outside is smarter. Yours is just light snacks, it won't tire you out." "But are these snacks really that much cheaper? How much can they mark them up?" I unzipped his bag, pulled out some cookies, and told him they cost $10 outside. "See how much they charge at the park." "Fine, I will," he muttered, but turned so I could pack his bag. Then we set off with Ningbing driving. To kill time on the drive, I decided to tell Baiju a story. I couldn't tell a third grader his own stories, so I went with Cinderella. It was short, taking under 10 minutes. The kid listened closely and praised my storytelling. I laughed. "Were you even paying attention to the story?" I asked. "Cinderella is a classic, but as Confucius said, reviewing the old brings new insights. You should learn something new." "You are right, but I have already analyzed it. The girls in class love the romance, but my aunt taught me that Cinderella was a count's daughter. She was always the prince's social equal. So it is just a story about social equals living happily ever after." I smirked. "Fine, if you were Cinderella, would you just endure that abuse? Would you tell your father or fight back?" "Telling him is useless. If he cared, she wouldn't have suffered. Fighting back openly is also bad. Disrespecting elders ruins your reputation, making you unmarriageable. Running away does the same. So she had to endure." "You think pretty clearly for a kid," I said. "So her fate was sealed?" "Of course not," he replied. "Enduring seems like the only option, but there's plenty to do. Take reputation, for example. A stepmother abusing her stepdaughter is also wrong. She has 2 daughters of her own. If her reputation suffers, they won't find husbands either." Ningbing watched us. Hearing this, she nodded slightly. I was stunned by his 8-year-old logic. He was so rational. I scratched my head as we pulled into the parking lot. Once we parked, he hopped out, bursting with excitement. I quickly grabbed his hand, warning him that the park was packed and he was target level cute. Kidnappers love cute kids. Hold our hands and stay close. Scream if anything goes wrong. Don't worry, I'm not dumb, he smiled. I'll stick close. He added that fighting back against adults is useless, so he wouldn't wander. I felt relieved. We reached the gate where I had pre-booked our tickets. We skipped the long ticket lines and walked right in. The park was bustling. Honestly, both Ningbing and I naturally turned heads wherever we went. We drew stares instantly. Some people wanted to flirt, but backed off when they saw the kid holding our hands. Look at that young family, someone whispered. They look stunning. I thought they were celebrities. Too bad they are already taken, or I would have totally gone over to hit on them. Do all handsome guys only date gorgeous women? Is that why I can't find one? That hurts. Why are you guys even focusing on that? I just think that little boy is adorable and polite. I wish I had a son like that. Wake up, girl. You and your husband aren't exactly models. Hearing them gossip made me laugh. Too bad he isn't mine. Xiao Yu, what should we ride first? The kid asked. Whatever you want, I replied. I suggested the roller coaster or bumper cars. Having never been to a theme park, my options were limited. He eyed the coaster tracks and chose that. Perfect. Roller coaster first, then bumper cars. The line was packed with families and couples. I immediately went to queue up for us. I waved them over to rest while I queued. The crowd stared. A nearby woman whispered enviously to her boyfriend about how sweet I was. She wished her boyfriend would do that. He scoffed, pointing out how beautiful she was. And that her designer outfit cost a fortune. He claimed she wore thousands of dollars in designer brands. If he had my looks, he said he wouldn't serve a woman. He blurted it out. His girlfriend kicked his leg, demanding he repeat it. He quickly backtracked, claiming it was just a joke and praising her character. Hearing them, the kid tugged Ningbing's sleeve. Is it bad to make Xiao Yu queue? She replied, aren't we equal? We will take turns next. He relaxed, realizing she wasn't just exploiting me. He used to dislike me, but he had changed. He actually cared about how I was treated now. Seeing how nice I am now, he felt bad when she bossed me around. Nearby women kept gossiping about random things. The kid ignored them. He pulled Ningbing to sit down, relieved. Since we were sharing the effort, he felt better. Soon we boarded the ride. Naturally, he sat in the middle. People still stared at us, making me self-conscious. Yet looking over, Miss Bai sat there like she was in her office, perfectly poised. She was unaffected. The kid also ignored the crowd, checking his harness and reminding me to make sure my seatbelt was buckled tight. He told me to stay safe. I checked and smiled, all good. Miss Bai sat calmly beside us, and I wondered how she would react. Would she scream like everyone else, or remain completely unfazed on this intense ride? I decided to watch her closely from the very start. I kept watching her. We climbed slowly up the track. As we neared the peak, my heart raced. The thrill was about to begin. She finally gripped the safety bar, but her face remained blank, staring straight ahead. Then, we plunged down the drop, accelerating rapidly. I handled the drop well, and the kid was just thrilled. Everyone around us screamed in terror, except for her. Even with her hair flying, she just frowned, looking like she was on a regular train. Facing the wild wind and rapid turns, I glanced at her, keeping her poise. She stayed perfectly calm even during the loops. Honestly, where is the fun in riding like that? The ride was short, lasting only minutes. As the ride slowly came to a halt and the surrounding screams faded away, Xiaoqi's excited face hadn't quite dimmed. I just stared at Bai Ningbing. Even with messy hair, she still looked incredibly elegant. Isn't this awesome? Last time I was a bit scared, but today not at all. I'm super brave. The moment we hit solid ground, Xiaoqi grabbed my arm, bubbling with excitement. He almost tripped on his first step, so I quickly caught him, though I was too stiff to move. Yes, you're so brave riding a coaster at 8. Way better than me. I cried my eyes out. Back then, our local park got a coaster. I finally had a free day, so my parents took me. I kept my eyes shut the whole ride and just slumped onto the ground and sobbed. I was just a kid who had never felt such thrills. Wow, you're a coward. I rode one before I was 6 and didn't cry. If you're scared next time, just hold my hand. With me around, you won't have to fear. Well, thank you, Xiaoqi. He's such a little angel. His heartwarming words and adorable face totally melted my heart. What's next, bumper cars? Yeah, bumper cars. Xiaoyu wants to. Wait, what? Since when does I want to play bumper cars? I was baffled. I only suggested it. If you didn't want to, why suggest it? Adults can play bumper cars too, right? No, I really didn't. I only suggested it because I couldn't think of anything else. I've never even been to an amusement park. Before I could explain, Bai Ningbing grabbed his other hand and walked forward. Xiaoqi followed, dragging me along. They clearly didn't believe me, giving me zero chance to explain. Honestly, if I kept trying to explain that I didn't want to play, would they think I was just desperately trying to save face? After 2 minutes of thinking, I realized my fate was sealed. Today I was riding bumper cars. The line was much shorter than the coasters, so Bai Ningbing sent Xiaoqi to line up. In the queue, the little guy drew a door, throwing stares from everyone. Nearby, a little girl was throwing a tantrum, but the moment she saw him, she stopped crying, scrambled out of her dad's arms, and rushed over to Xiaoqi. Unfazed by the crowd, she grabbed his hand, blinked her big eyes, and cooed. Let's play together, big brother. She looked about 5 years old, barely reaching his shoulder. Be good, don't cry. Aren't we all here to ride? Of course we can play together, there are plenty of cars. Yay, let's play. Forget mommy, I want to play with you. I like you. Okay, daddy will queue for you. I watched as she held his hand, babbling non-stop. Xiaoqi kept a sweet comforting smile, nodding along and replying politely to her. The two chatted happily, knowing how to charm girls at this age. What will he be like when he grows up? She's not just cute, Xiaoqi is just polite. Didn't you hear her boring topics? Totally brainless, talking about her doll's big eyes or some random movie her parents took her to. Half of it barely made sense. Only Xiaoqi has the patience to humor her. Most boys would be bored to death. Exactly. Not 2 minutes later, a chubby boy approached them, trying to join in. The little girl turned her head in disgust, completely ignoring him to keep talking only to Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi just nodded to the kid and kept focusing on the girl, showing zero intention of inviting him in. Feeling unwanted, the boy slunk to his parents. Okay, he was definitely playing favorites. When our turn came, Xiaoqi sent her back to her parents, then immediately dragged me and Bai Ningbing to register, and hopped in. Judging by his driving, he had no plans of waiting for her at all. The whole point of bumper cars is slamming into each other. My driving is average, but there was nothing to fear here. Crashing is the goal. Xiaoqi kept bumping into other cars, and when people saw how gorgeous Bai Ningbing was, they tried to crash into her just to start a chat, but she drove like a stunt pro, dodging every car perfectly and giving them zero chance. I watched in absolute awe. Sensing their targeted attacks, she kept weaving through them. Those who tried to hit her couldn't even graze her bumper. Instead, she sent those guys spinning wild, so they targeted me and Xiaoqi instead. Luckily, she baited them away. When our time was finally up, I parked and scrambled out of my car without a single regret. I am never riding those things again. Xiaoqi was also fuming. He grabbed my arm the second he got out and complained, "Those people are so rude. We don't even know them, and they just kept ramming into us. It's one thing to bump, but they hit so hard my head hurts. I wanted to rescue you, but they knocked me completely off course. Then a bunch of kids rushed me, pushing me all over the place. I'm so mad." "Oh come on, it's just because you're adorable. Like that little girl, they just wanted to play with you. The other kids definitely liked you too, which is why they hit your car." "Wait, did they bump me because I'm handsome?" "Well, you are handsome, but your driving skills are honestly terrible. My aunt successfully dodged everyone. She even baited them away to save you at the end." Thinking of her impressive moves, Xiaoqi grabbed her hand, eyes full of worship. "Auntie, you're so cool. Teach me please. So many people tried to hit you but none of them could touch you." "Oh thanks," she nodded to me casually, then ruthlessly turned to him. "You're too young and too short to even reach the pedals properly. Just eat more and grow first. In this life, there are some things you can't control, like your height." Xiaoqi slumped instantly. His height wasn't bad for his class, but as a kid he couldn't compete with adults. "It's okay, you'll definitely surpass your aunt when you grow up. Just drink a glass of milk before bed. I'll prepare it. We'll help you grow. Even if you aren't adult-sized yet, you'll be the tallest kid in your class. What's next?" I regretted not checking a guide before we came. While I was thinking, a little boy ran past, dragging his parents and bouncing excitedly. "The pirate ship, let's go there." I immediately turned to Xiaoqi. "Want to ride the pirate ship?" "Sure, I'll play anything." I checked the map and saw it was just ahead. "Let's go." We arrived right as the last ride ended, perfect timing for the next turn. But looking at our spot in line, we would end up on the very edge, meaning the swings would be intense. Xiaoqi was thrilled, while Bai Ningbing was totally calm. Honestly, my heart was racing. I'd never ridden one before. Always throw up violently afterward. Sure, I'm just a side character, but physical reactions don't care about roles. "Hey Xiaoyu, why are you squeezing my hand so hard? It hurts." "Oh, sorry, I got a bit excited." Too embarrassed to admit my nerves, I blamed it on excitement. I let go and saw his hand was red, making me feel terrible. "Are you okay? Does it hurt?" "Don't need to be that excited." "Switch places with him," Bai Ningbing suddenly ordered. We both stared at her, confused. "Why?" "To balance the weight." Xiaoqi and I looked over. On the far left it was just us, while the right was packed with heavy adults. "All right then." Xiaoqi stood up and swapped with me. Now I was in the middle, sandwiched right between the two of them. Once my safety bar was locked, Bai Ningbing grabbed my left hand, and Xiaoqi immediately grabbed my right. Holding hands with both of them, a warm wave of absolute protection washed over me. It felt so incredibly sweet as the ship swung higher, screams erupted around us. Honestly, it was much better than I expected. Thrilling, sure, but not terrifying. At least I wasn't going to barf. I guess side characters don't get the protagonist's fragile stomach. The ship slowly ground to a halt, and I felt Bai Ningbing's hand loosen. Once we fully stopped, both of them let go of me, comfortingly. "Xiaoyu, you're so brave, you didn't cry or throw up." "Well, I was only a little anxious, not actually scared. I couldn't show my weakness, so I laughed. I'm an adult, remember? And you did great too, buddy, but even some adults are total cowards." "Look over there," Xiaoqi said, pointing to a woman clutching a trash can, vomiting her guts out. "See, she's a mess." I looked over. Surprisingly, she was gorgeous. Even while throwing up, she maintained an elegant poise, her graceful aura completely intact. The park staff rushed over to help and she looked up weakly. Looking down, I caught a glimpse of her face. The gorgeous woman looked so familiar, but I couldn't recall where we'd met. "Don't point at people, and never judge strangers," Bai Ningbing said, pressing Baiju's hand down with a lecturing tone. Baiju quickly pulled his hand back, nodding obediently. "Let's just go," I said. "It's been over 2 hours. Hungry or thirsty?" I unzipped his backpack, handed it to him and gestured for him to check for himself. Then I took off my own pack, opened it, and handed him a bottle of kid's milk. Thanks Xiaoyu. You and auntie eat too, he said, eating snacks in front of Miss Bai, let alone offering her some. Felt like a massive challenge. As I hesitated, Bai Ningbing took both bags from my hands. What are we eating? She asked. She didn't scold me. Surprised, I figured she was just relaxed from being out. Since the opportunity was here, I dug right in. I pulled out cookies, potato chips, and a bottle of Coke. I was craving junk food, no doubt about it. Bai Ningbing glanced at my snacks but said nothing. When Bai Ju tried to speak, she shot him a warning look, successfully silencing his "I want a Coke too" complaint. As we ate, I noticed Bai Ningbing hadn't touched a single snack. Maybe she was just holding back. Want some? I asked. Honestly, junk food isn't that bad, and the additives are strictly within safe limits. Plus you never eat this stuff, so a little won't hurt, it won't make you sick. You go ahead, Bai Ningbing replied. She didn't reject me harshly, but her point was clear. So I kept eating but asked, do you want water then? I brought some. Next time buy that specific brand of bottled water, she said. I sighed inwardly. Even when broke, the boss still insisted on drinking premium brand name water. Honestly, what's the difference? Is $10 water really better than a 50-cent bottle? It's all just water. After a quick break, Baiju wanted to watch a movie, so we headed toward the theater. Along the way, he chattered non-stop. Last time we came, we planned to watch a movie, but my parents were in a rush and we missed it. I want to see if the cartoons here are different from other theaters. Today's my chance. My classmates said the films here are so much better, so I'm really curious. It was probably just a mental trick. The kid was bound to be disappointed. I shook my head silently. When a kid is too smart, nothing ever brings a surprise because they already expect everything. Sure enough, he was thrilled going in, but soon lost all interest. He dragged me and Bai Ningbing out, complaining non-stop that the film was no different from regular ones. I was so excited, but it's all a scam. My classmate lied to waste my time. How annoying. Just wait until I get back to school and deal with him. You can't say that. Maybe he genuinely loved it. To each their own. I was honestly afraid he'd confront his classmate, only to hear, but it's great watching with my parents. That would pierce his heart, inflicting a painful blow. Oh right, no taste is just no taste, finding this garbage good. Bai Ningbing promptly smacked the back of his speak properly. Talking behind someone's back is extremely rude. Okay, he muttered, rubbing the spot. His smug look vanished, and he became a cute, innocent boy again, though his eyes looked a bit off. What are you thinking? Oh, just that if he liked this movie, he probably hasn't seen much anything good. I stood there, dumbfounded. In under 3 seconds after a quick smack from Bai Ningbing, this kid had effortlessly learned how to subtly insult someone. Is this really okay? I stiffly turned to Bai Ningbing, who seemed totally oblivious, even patting his head with a hint of praise. Wait, is raising a kid like this really okay? He clearly knows his words will make others look down on his classmate, leaving that classmate unable to voice any complaint. He was totally doing it on purpose. Don't worry, Xiaoyu, I love my classmates. I could only laugh it off. We finished playing and checking the time. It was already past 11. Should we grab some food? We're not starving, but we should eat a proper meal instead of relying on snacks. I want McDonald's. I could understand other kids wanting it, but he used to eat gourmet food daily. How was he so easily pleased? I put my heart into cooking every day, yet he still craves fast food. Would Miss Bai think I just slack off when she's away? I just want to try it. The vibe there is totally different from other places. Even if I eat gourmet food daily, I can still change things up occasionally. Auntie, let me eat it just once. One meal won't hurt and junk food won't make me sick. Just let me be happy today, okay? Bai Ningbing stood there tall and elegant. Honestly, Baiju is brave. If it were me, I could never bring myself to grab her arm and shake it. In the end, she agreed, heading to McDonald's and asking me, do you want this, or something else? Either is fine. It had been a while since I had fast food, so I didn't mind. Honestly, I missed it too, and today was the perfect chance to satisfy my cravings. Speaking of which, I had forgotten a promise I made to him earlier. Xiaoju, didn't you want to check the prices inside these shops? Oh right, he remembered. Immediately let go of our hands, and dashed toward a nearby store. I hurried after him, worried he'd get lost in the crowd. When he came out of the shop, his face was full of shock and disbelief. A bottle of juice is twice the regular price. This is crazy. It's not crazy, it's always like this. Tourist spots are even worse. For example, grilled corn usually costs 4 yuan, but at a tourist spot it's 10 yuan. Why? Because it's a one-time transaction. Once tourists leave, they rarely return. Plus, the people buying food usually didn't bring any. When they get hungry, they don't care about the price. They can afford it, so they just buy it. Also, there's the cost. Oh, and your aunt's point about cost. An ear of corn is cheap and roasting it doesn't much, but to bring it in, vendors must pay a fee to the resort's management. This cost naturally gets passed down to the tourists, so the price is higher. Then the real winner must be the resort owner. After all, they just build it, hire managers and collect cash. If you add ticket sales, that's even more money. He's definitely a member of the business-minded Bai family. His sharp mind is truly impressive. I recalled being his age, probably just playing around aimlessly. Then you also need to think about getting the government's approval to give you the land, raising enough funds to build the resort, recruiting proper management, and handling ongoing maintenance. You have to figure all of that out. That sounds a bit complicated, but that's okay, I'm still young. Once I grow up, I'll definitely figure it out and find a way. How could it be that easy? I shook my head. Miss Bai only mentioned it casually to show him it wasn't simple. When it comes to actually doing things, the trouble is endless. Even a powerful figure like Miss Bai failed. Did she not understand those theories? It just goes to show that knowing the theory doesn't guarantee success, because external factors are too overwhelming. Most of the time things are out of our hands, like luck or fate, things beyond our understanding. Back home, everything returned to normal. My routine was highly regular, waking up, cooking, cleaning, and then writing chapters. After lunch and cleaning up, I'd nap. In the afternoon, I'd write more, then research to prepare design blueprints for freelance clients. At night, after dinner, I'd write again, occasionally browsing web pages to relax. Besides that, I'd set aside time for laundry, cleaning, and grocery shopping, plus regular workouts to stay in shape. If Baiju needed to, I'd occasionally take him out to museums or libraries to pass the time. Bai Ningbing was busy almost every day, doing who knows what. She only appeared during breakfast and dinner, checking on Baiju's daily progress. Regarding my taking him out, she said nothing, so I assumed she accepted this arrangement. But while peace is great, many issues still need addressing. During breakfast one day, I asked about the apartment again. Baiju glanced at Bai Ningbing. He was frustrated because sleeping in her room meant he didn't dare toss and turn. He hoped to have his own room so he could roll around freely. I've already picked out a place. We can move next week. If you want to buy, a promising property goes on sale the following week, and you can check it out, Bai Ningbing answered. This put my mind at ease. The boss hadn't forgotten about me. Sure enough, next week she told me to pack up to move. Auntie, will I finally have my own room? I want a bookshelf, and the bed doesn't have to be big, just enough to sleep on. While waiting for the moving truck, Baiju chatted non-stop. Yes, I knew Auntie was the best thing ever. Xiaoyu, we're moving to a bigger place, aren't you happy? We moved into the new rented apartment and started unpacking. Happy? Of course, why wouldn't I be? Honestly, I didn't feel much. After all, it wasn't my house, so where we lived made no difference to me. Since childhood, I lived in a decent apartment. As an only child, my parents quietly spoiled me, so I had no deep craving for a huge place. If someone has never lacked love or suffered from financial hardship, and isn't overly competitive by nature, they probably won't crave material wealth. I was the classic example of someone who wasn't wealthy on paper but lived in constant happiness. To tell the truth, honestly, I thought a small apartment was cozy and convenient. But cozy is one thing, reality is another. We couldn't let Bai Qi keep sharing a room with Bai Ningbing forever. Still, I was thrilled, promising myself to earn enough to buy plenty of books to read. There wasn't even a proper study here, and I'd been feeling suffocated for so long. That was actually little Bai Qi's biggest wish. This rented place was just too small to fit anything, and Bai Ningbing couldn't give him his own study like in their old villa. With nothing to do in his spare time, he had to watch childish cartoons and was bored out of his mind. Wait, I thought you loved cartoons, I teased. Who knew you were such a bookworm? He huffed. I only watch them because I was bored. They're so childish. I don't even like those silly cartoons, but the other kids in class do. My uncle told me that it's okay to be smart. But if you don't have the power to back it up, you must never alienate yourself from the crowd. Otherwise you'll be isolated when trouble comes. Wow, the boss is truly on another level. Bai Qi is still so young, yet he's already teaching him such deep life lessons. What else did I say? His uncle asked. You said we should accept everything as if it was always meant to be that way. I shouldn't look down on my classmates, or imply they're stupid just because I'm smart. Even if I think it, I should brainwash myself to believe they're all wonderful. If I had been drinking tea right then, I definitely would have done a double take and spat it out. Good lord, an elementary school kid is being taught this? It made me feel like a complete idiot during my own childhood. I didn't figure that out until high school. Here, read, Bai Ningsing said, casually pulling a book from one of the packed bags. He handed it to Bai Qi, who obediently took it and flipped it open without even looking at the cover. I caught a glimpse of the title, Thick Black Theory. All right then. A boss's kid is destined to become a future boss himself. A mere mortal like me should probably keep her mouth shut. The moving truck arrived quickly, but we didn't actually have that much to pack. That's when I realized the vast majority of our belongings were things I had bought, and most of them were just daily necessities. In the end, even Bai Qi couldn't take it anymore and nudged Bai Ningbing to talk some sense into me. Only then did I leave behind basic items like cooking oil and salt. Fortunately, the piles of clothes that used to overflow my bedroom had already been mostly sold off, making the packing a breeze. Our new apartment was in a nearby neighborhood, boasting much better security and a nicer environment. Once inside, the layout proved to be fantastic. Having worked as an interior designer before, I took a quick tour and had to admit that Bai Ningbing had made an excellent choice. It was renovated in my favorite minimalist style, featuring a classic black, white and gray palette. It looked timeless and incredibly sleek, and even the pre-purchased furniture matched perfectly. Best of all, there was a swing the balcony, fulfilling my long-held dream of swinging while reading. Wow, this place is light years ahead of the old one. I love it, I cheered. I love it too, Bai Qi chimed in. Meanwhile, Bai Ningbing with his long legs strode around, directing the movers to put everything in its proper place. Glancing at the two of us, looking so happy and satisfied, a flash of warmth crossed his eyes. He quickly masked it and went back to work. About an hour later, the movers finished unloading and left. I pulled out some rags I'd prepared earlier and waved them at Bai Chi. "Little Chi, time to start working on our new home. I'll dust the tables and sweep, the rest is yours." "No problem. I'll do the windows and mop, what about me?" His question caught us both completely off guard. "You uncle, you wanna help?" "No, you don't have to," Bai Chi stammered. "Xiaoyu and I can handle it, we've got this." Having his uncle do physical labor was something he couldn't even begin to imagine. He had never seen it before and just the thought of it felt bizarre. "Yeah, exactly, we can finish it all. You go do your own thing," I agreed. I had never seen the big boss do chores, and seeing him do actual physical labor made me feel guilty. "I'll do the windows. You two handle the rest," he said, scanning the floor to sailing glass and it's himself a task. Before I could speak, he snatched the other rag from my hand. As he did, our fingers brushed against each other, and causing me to shiver instinctively. "What's wrong? Cold?" No, I probably just haven't been drinking enough water lately. I'll be fine." It definitely wasn't because of his touch. It's not like he's some glass figure I can't touch. "Just eat fewer snacks," he said. That dry remark felt like a dagger straight to my chest and my face instantly fell. Hearing this, Bai Chi quietly made sure his uncle wasn't paying attention, then quickly bolted toward my bedroom. He had to run. Otherwise his uncle might throw a verbal dagger at him next, and he still wanted to keep his snacks. I didn't even get a chance to reply before Bai Ningbing turned away, muttering, "Changing trap bags daily? There isn't even that much garbage." I face-palmed. How could I have forgotten? But the big boss is always so busy, leaving early and returning late or cooped up in his room. How does he even find time to notice the living room trash? "Eat fewer snacks and drink more water," I mimicked. Back to work. Dusting the nightstand in the bedroom, Bai Chi had no clue that because of his uncle's remarks, I'd already decided to ration his snacks. If he'd known, he probably wouldn't have fled so quickly at the first sign of trouble. After a busy hour, the apartment was clean. This included the time I spent pretending to sweep while secretly admiring Bai Ningbing's back. I'd never admit that I planned to write him into my web novel. Who told him to keep complaining about my snack habits anyway? Since the original novel didn't exist in this world anyway, using a real-life overbearing CEO like him as my protagonist would be an instant hit. I'd skip the bankruptcy part though. Writing him at the peak of his wealth would be way more appealing and realistic. "Xiaosu, why does the way you're looking at my uncle today seem a bit weird?" Bai Chi asked out of nowhere. "Actually, I get it. My uncle won't mind. You two are married, so there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's only natural that you like my uncle. It'd be bad if you didn't. Shouldn't married couples love each other?" He looked incredibly cute. I barely managed to keep a straight face. Heading to the bathroom with a towel, Bai Ningbing caught our conversation, and a thoughtful look crossed his face. He let his footsteps grow louder as he walked in, and the two of us immediately shut up as if we'd said nothing. Cleaning wasn't as tiring as I expected, so I decided to cook at home. Thankfully, there was a large supermarket nearby, making future shopping runs much more convenient. I wanted to take a quick stroll first to buy some fresh fruits and vegetables. This time, Bai Chi stayed put and didn't beg to come. But out of nowhere, Bai Ningbing decided to join, and I tried to stop him. "Really, I can carry it myself. It's just a quick trip for today's dinner, and I'll be right back. You two just worked so hard, go rest." "If I don't go, how will you carry your snacks back?" he countered dryly. Was he ever going to let that go? But since I did want snacks, I couldn't argue and let him tag along. In the end, I petulantly bought a ton of stuff, and we lugged back 3 massive bags. Seeing the big boss carry groceries was hilarious, but he deserved it for nagging me. We all slept wonderfully on our first night. Even though Bai Ningbing didn't say it, having Bai Chi sleep next to me was a bit awkward. Having had my own room since childhood, I wasn't used to sharing, even with a well-behaved kid who didn't move. Having another person in my space felt intrusive. I'd been busy all day, and though I didn't feel it, exhaustion finally hit. The moment I washed up and hit the mattress, I fell fast asleep until the next morning. As for Bai Chi, he had his own bed and could roll around however he pleased. Over the next 2 days, we all thoroughly enjoyed our new home. Then Bai Ningbing asked me to go look at apartments with him. This was the place he had mentioned buying earlier. I'd been looking forward to this for so long. Finally, I would have a place to call my own in this world. Honestly, Bai Ningbing was good to me, and Bai Chi was adorable. Even without any official relationship, I considered them friends. But I still lacked a sense of belonging here. Bai Ningbing was destined to be cannon fodder, and my ex-husband was his nephew. Everything I currently had nothing to do with me. I was just an outsider. But owning a house would change everything. With a house, I'd have a permanent anchor. Even if I parted ways with Bai Ningbing in the future, I'd still have a place to go. I could keep working as a freelance writer. That place would be my true sanctuary. Of course, even without buying, I could still rent a place using my writing royalties, but it wouldn't bring me true peace of mind. The property Bai Ningbing took me to was a bit far from their rental. Property prices were soaring, and eager buyers were everywhere when we arrived. The sales office was packed. Fortunately, Bai Ningbing didn't make me squeeze through the crowd. Instead, he led me straight through the staff entrance. He really was a former tycoon. Even without pulling strings, people instinctively treated him with absolute respect. Respected him was an understatement. They treated him like royalty. Following him, I experienced true VIP treatment for the first time, right in the middle of a crazily chaotic real estate launch. We were led directly into a luxurious VIP lounge. The tea served by the staff smelled incredibly expensive. Even a tea novice like me could tell this stuff cost a fortune. Leaning in, I whispered, "We're just here to look at an apartment. Is all this grand treatment really necessary? Do you know the developer? My associate built this project just to silence his family," he explained calmly. "He's getting out of real estate anyway. Just pick any unit you like. We'll pay the full market price." Even though he developed it, it still feels like we're taking advantage. If you were buying it, that would be one thing. But since this will be in my name, using your privilege feels wrong. Plus, his associate clearly doesn't like me very much. I still remembered his cold, calculating gaze from his last visit. "We'll pay the full amount," Bai Ningbing assured me. "He's just letting you choose. A sale is a sale to him. These 3 buildings have the best layouts and locations. Skip the bottom 6 and the top 6. Pick any of the middle units. Which one do you like?" Well, no point in overthinking. If the boss tells me to choose, I will. I could always write more and buy him another place later. I began studying the blueprints. I might just be an interior designer, but I know good architecture. These 3 buildings are actually impressive. After looking around, I picked a 3-bedroom layout. If we are still married when the remodel is finished, the 3 of us will live here. But if we divorce and I get the house, perfect. 1 bedroom, 1 studio, and 1 rec room. With the layout chosen, Bai Ningbing and I followed the staff to the site to check it out. The surrounding area was still under construction, and the hallways were cluttered. Usually developers sell units before they even build. Why was Mr. Sun doing this backward? Because, Bai Ningbing replied. I told him a great house will always sell itself. Plus property values will keep climbing. The longer he waits, the higher the price. I see. A seasoned real estate mogul like Bai is on a totally different level than a traveling fraud like me. His market forecasting is unbeatable.